Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
You know, I am in the mood this morning that I feel this is really appropriate. Duck Dynasty dad, Phil Robertson, said it best. I think our problem is a spiritual one. Where there is no Jesus, evil reigns, always. And if that offended somebody, have a good day. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning on a Thursday. Looks like it's going to rain. Oh, good morning. Thank you very much, Kate Smith. And I'm Zeb Bell on Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you and all of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors and More at 459 Oberlin in Burley. And, of course, our dear friends at Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today, 734-6969. And at this time, with bells and whistles and everything else going off in my head, and a lovely lady over at the station that's having a small clothing problem this morning.
Yes, basically I ripped the rear out of my pants, but thankfully Scotty Cameron came to the rescue with some duct tape.
You know, there are so many comments that could be made at this juncture, but I think for the safety, security, and also a pink slip from the FCC, I hope you're having a great day.
You know, it is just a fantabulous Thursday so far.
I can tell. Hey, real quick, kudos to you for running a great board over at the studio yesterday while we had our remote at Ramsey's. It was absolutely great.
Yes, it was awesome. And yesterday, and you and I were talking about this, I kept on hearing this constant ding.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't know what it was. And finally, I figured it out. It was people coming in and out of the door. That
door, I swear to you, they had to oil it 73 times. There were so many people coming in.
Yeah, I think they might have to put a new battery in the dinger.
Your battery dead, get a new dinger. Okay, whatever. Hey, listen, who's going to do the pledge this morning?
We've got sweet little Miss Abigail on for the pledge, and we do have Michael Rogers on for the weather.
Oh, there is a change since I had the bells and whistles.
Yes, another change, yes.
I love it. I wished I knew how to respond with a text. I mean, it's great to get these things, and I go, I don't know what to do.
There's usually a keyboard that pops up right below that keyboard.
Not on mine.
Really?
No, it just shows the message.
Oh, you have to hit reply first.
I can't even find reply. Let's have little Miss Abigail.
You got it.
All right. Good morning, Abby, sweetheart. How are you?
I'm doing great.
All right. Give us the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Abby, can you sing?
Yeah.
All right, I want you to practice singing the national anthem because you've got a great voice, a very developing voice as a young lady, and I'll bet you could sing that national anthem very well. You do a wonderful job, so you get to work, okay?
Thank you.
All right, God bless you. You know what? I think she's got a really developing voice. Did you notice that?
Yes, she really does, and I think that she could do very, very well So, Dad, get her a voice coach, because that girl's going to go someplace.
I like it, and this is not meant to sound denigrating or putting down women, but this is true, Gina. Very few women have a voice that can be a broadcaster's voice. You know what I'm saying?
It's very, very true, and I might have a broadcaster's voice, but you know what? I cannot sing.
Yeah, but that little girl right there, you can tell she's developing into a very clear, resonant tone.
Yep.
Okay, speaking of clear and resonant tones, let's go now to the world's greatest weatherman, and that's MichaelRogersWeather.com, brought to you by Rock Creek Growers on the corner of Maxine Lane and Irene Streets in Kimberly. And remember, 35% off all the trees, the shrubs, the plant materials, all the grasses. They just say, come on in and see what we can do to beautify your home and property. It's absolutely phenomenal. Rock Creek Growers. Randy and Karen Anderson and the family, been in business since 1988 on the corner of Maxine Lane and Irene Streets in Kimberly. And now here is Mr. Weatherman.
Good morning, everybody. I'm sitting out here on U.S. Highway 95 looking at Lake Coeur d'Alene with a beautiful sunrise and these gorgeous ducks on the lake. And I'm sitting here going like, what in the world is the weather going to be like in the Magic Valley of South Central Idaho? Well, because I'm a meteorologist, I already know that. You won't get the same thing that I got up here in Coeur d'Alene, but it's not going to be as bad as it could have been. You got a slight chance of thunderstorms in the forecast starting today, going into the weekend, and it should be shutting itself off by Saturday. But otherwise, temperatures are going to be on the cool side. It's not going to be on the hot side. It's going to be right around in the mid to upper 80s. Other than that, enjoy the day, enjoy the weather, and if you ever get a chance to come up to Coeur d'Alene on a beautiful day like this and see Lake Coeur d'Alene, it's the only weather you got.
Oh, man, I'll bet you're taking some great pictures up there. Thank you, MichaelRogersWeather.com. Brought to you by Rock Creek Growers, and Karen will be on the phone with us later this morning, corner of Maxine Lane and Irene Streets in Kimberly. Hey, let's sell some cattle right now, shall we?
Get set of steer calves there, here to $1.31, 1.5, 31, 1.5, 32, 2.5, 3.5, 134.
That's Merv May, along with Lance Udy at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. And the telephone number to call at the office, 678-9411. They're going to start the sale today at 10:30, and here's just a little bit of their run they're going to have today. Jeff Johnson over at Rupert's going to be bringing in 25 head of calves. Hello, Jeff. How you doing? Bootjack Dairy over at Shoshone, 25 head of butcher cows. Southridge Dairy at Oakley, 35 head of butcher cows. And Lynn Hunter. Hello, Lynn, up at Rockland. Man, there's some good folks up there. 30 head of calves coming into the sale today. Sale time, 10:30. Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley, Idaho, with Merv May, Lance Udy, and the crew, 678-9411. Merv, sell those steers.
All right, get set of steer calves there, here to $1.31, 1.5, 31, 1.5, 32, 2.5, 3.5, 134, 4.5, 5.5, 135, 50, 135, sell them $1.35. Does that bell get bottom again?
Oh, man. I didn't hit bottom yesterday, though. I hit a home run with my friends. I was absolutely moved to great emotions yesterday because of the support that you folks out in the audience gave us over at Ramsey Heating and Electric for that remote for Patriots Day, and hats off to farmers. And like Gina had mentioned earlier, that ding, ding, ding was the door opening all through the remote. We had literally, I don't know how many people. I know over 100 showed up for the breakfast, and which is super, and the breakfast was put on by George and Donna Mass, and it was absolutely delicious. And then, of course, the remote broadcast, we had so many nice people come by, and I know on behalf of Keith Ramsey and his entire staff, thank you. Your remarks and your adding to our program was... it was just fantastic. Thank you so very, very much. Calls are welcome and appreciated. I'm going to say some things in a few moments that some of you may be offended by, but I'm saying it because I'm from the old school, and I will be with those remarks in just a moment. Stand by. Speaking of our dear friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, do not forget they're always there to serve you with all your electrical needs. All you have to do is just please stop in and say howdy, and they can help you. Over 57 years in business serving you. Ramsey Heating and Electric, whether it's cords, cord ends, fuses, lamps, electrical ballast, everything, they've got it. they've got it, and they'll serve you. Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. I am not embarrassed at all or ashamed to take a stand against what's happening in Gooding, Idaho, with the Gooding Recreation District allowing 5th and 6th grade girls, once again, 5th and 6th grade girls, to be involved in tackle football with the boys. I'm not in favor of this. I have never been in favor of girls. Now, this is a one-sided deal, folks, of girls trying to infiltrate and permeate boys' sports. I'm not in favor of it, never have been. Now, I know there are segments in the audience that say, oh, well, yeah, equality, everybody's discriminated against the girls. No, they're not. No, they are not. Title IX gave advantages to the girls in athletics and gave them and their programs a lot of money. I do not believe in playing the gender game and saying that you're not getting a fair shot, saying that you're being discriminated against. That is bogus, bunk, and absolutely non-educated statements. Right now, girls have the advantages. As a matter of fact, in some cases, in major university sports situations, they have more of an advantage than the boys. And to infiltrate with the genders, you know, I'm going to be very blunt here. The grappling and pummeling and the groping, no. I would really like to hear from certain parents out there this morning that would like their 5th and 6th and 7th, and there are even those that want to infiltrate into high school athletics, girls with the boys. Why? Have we lost our respect? Have we lost our respect? I absolutely shudder. Caller, I'm going to be right with you. I shudder to hear the day in my lifetime when we hear over the loudspeaker system, and now the homecoming queen, number 29 running back, Janie Smith. To me, that's repulsive. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell. You know, you hit it right on the nail, or the nail right on the head, rather. People have lost respect for themselves and everything else, everyone else. Girls, and I'm going to get flack over this from one of my granddaughters, girls do not belong on a football field. I mean, maybe as cheerleaders. And I'm not prejudiced, but it's a boy-man sport.
Now, let me stop you right there. Why do women get an opportunity to infiltrate men's athletics when the reverse never happens?
You know, I wish I could answer that. But like I said, I disagree. And the parents of these girls need to remember, you know, those boys hit hard. That's why it's a male sport.
Yeah, but
men can take harder hits, and that's going to sound chauvinistic, I think.
No, it's going to sound very truthful.
Harder hits. I wouldn't want to be hit by one of those football players, and I'm a grown woman.
Yeah, but no, wait a minute, Donna, stop just for a minute. Why should there be a gender bending here to the point where we put girls, and again, I'm being blunt, that might sacrifice an opportunity to have a family in the future to the point where some great big kid, and look at Little League Baseball. Look at Little League Baseball. This year, the boys in the 11 to 13-year-old bracket, they had a pitcher from California that was 6'4", 190 pounds.
Yeah.
Now, that is 11 to 13-year-olds. That's this age bracket. Mm-hmm. And how would you like that kid to go and really, literally nail to the ground a little bitty 4'6" girl?
To me, like I said, it's absurd. I don't agree with it, you know, but I'm like you. I'm from the old school. I don't want to be treated like a guy. I'm a woman, and I like to be treated as such.
Well, we're going to hear what other people have to say on this, but I absolutely thank you for breaking the ice on the first phone call. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
God bless you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
No, I'm against it. I think any parent that would push for girls to compete in a boy sport, and you know the other side of the coin is this, and I hope there's football coaches out there and somebody that's got the guts and the backbone to call me. I swear to you that a boy any kind of a boy that has common sense and decency, probably will pull the hit to the point where he would risk his own injury not to really lay a hard hit on a girl. And that is a dangerous situation. Okay, I know you don't agree.
Well, I do and I don't. And here's the point. I have quite a few of my family members who are girls who actually play in a semi-pro team. And they dress in their own locker rooms. They don't participate with the men when it comes to dressing down or dressing up. She's a lineman. She's big. I mean, my cousin's stacked. I mean, she is a big, big girl, and she can handle her own. So with that said, there are some special circumstances. However, if we're talking about a 90-pound-year-old girl or a 90-pound girl who's in high school, I might be a little bit more on the
yeah, but wait a minute, Gina. Answer the direct. I want you to answer the direct problem of this whole situation and scenario.
Okay.
Why is it that girls can cry foul and cry discrimination and play on boys' teams, but you're not going to see the reverse?
Exactly. So if a boy wanted to play volleyball, you should let him, because that's the only other sport out there within high school athletics that is specifically girls.
Are we going to go to a situation? No, not necessarily, because when you go up the ranks, look at softball. Look at girls softball.
Right.
But are we going to go to a situation here to where, let's say that you've got the pine warmers, the kids that don't play, they're not good enough to be in the starting five or the second rotation, but they're pine warmers?
Right.
Are we going to say that that boy is, okay, the coach walks up to him and says, well, I tell you what, you can't play on our starting rotation or our second team rotation, but I'm going to talk to the girls coach and let you play on that team. What absolutely mind-bending, altering personality experience that's going to be. It's not going to happen, though. But why should girls absolutely force, and I mean force, and coerce themselves into boy sports when the reverse doesn't happen?
I agree with that. I mean, I really, really do. And in the case of Gooding, that is a co-ed city league. We're not talking high school sports. This is a co-ed city league.
But it wasn't originally set up that way. They did have rules for boys only,
which they can't find the rules for.
Yeah, I know it, and I think that's absolutely ridiculous.
And here's my solution to the problem. Why don't they just create a girls' powder puff league?
There you go. Now thanks for stealing the cloud from my thunder.
Sorry.
No, but they've done this in other sports. But I am absolutely adamant that we are creating a unisex society that I do not respect and I will not adhere to. Look at what's going on with the transgender situation. Look at what's going on with the homosexual and lesbian situation. Look what's going on to say, oh, we're all the same, unisex. No! God created men and women, and I think there should be respect for both genders, as God does not make mistakes.
Exactly. And so, to, I think, solve this particular problem, why don't they just create a girls' powder puff?
There you go.
And see how many girls would actually try out for this kind of a league. And I think you'd be surprised that a lot of girls would, but right now, girls are kind of afraid because, one, football really is a boys' sport.
Absolutely.
Number two, we don't want them dressing up and dressing down in the same locker rooms. I don't even want to go into that situation and scenario because that takes us over to that California law now that starts January 1st that says transgenders can pick and choose the locker room or the bathroom they want to use, and they do not have to have anything signed by their parents, etc. This is so sick and perverse, and I don't want to get into that with this problem, but I am saying, and I'll go back to the demonstration that I gave a few moments ago with that one pitcher, and there were numerous cases when I watched Little League Baseball finals this year where I saw kids that were at least 20 pounds heavier than I am and at least 6 to 7 inches taller than I am in the 11 to 13-year-old bracket. Now, let's assume that you have not Kennedy as a boy, but a little girl that's 6 years old, and in a couple of years, that little sweetheart wants to play and force herself into football, and she is in the running back area position, and across the line is a 6'4", 195-pound linebacker in her age bracket. That is going to be absolutely devastating. It would be absolutely devastating, and I would probably, if I had a little girl instead of a little boy, I would say, honey, please reconsider this. Either that, or you better be running, and you better be faster than everybody else on that field, because they're going to hurt you.
But why then, and I got to ask this quickly and give me a short answer because I'm way late on commercials. Why then was the public and sports in general at major universities and high schools across the country subjected to Title IX to create a fair playing field for women's sports and give basically equal money? Why then did we waste our time with that if they're going to try to keep infiltrating boys' sports?
That's a good question, and one that I don't have an answer to.
Okay. I got to do some commercials.
You got it.
Don't forget our friends at Valleywide Home and Ranch. They had a big doings yesterday, and they had a lot of people over there for their Patriots Day. Proud to be American. Man, I talked to George Masson. He said he was flipping burgers over there like crazy, and it was a good day. A lot of people stopped by, saw the new renovated store, remodeled. It's really, really good, and they've got so much over there for you. All the family clothing, the boots, and they've got all your pet food. They got all your livestock feeds. They've got a super tack department for your horses. I mean, everything's there. You stop into Valleywide Home and Ranch and see Steve and the crew today, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. I'm telling you, that is the place for the farm, the home, and the family, and that's, of course, Valleywide Home and Ranch. I know there are those in the audience that are going, well, my little girl's tough, and she can play, and she can wrestle, and I think we're going to let her go into the boys' sports. I don't agree with that. I know I'm old school. You can go ahead and put that at the top of the heading in I Hate Zeb Bell. He's old school. Well, that's the way I was raised. I don't believe in the unification, if you will, of the genders into a sport. Wrestling, absolutely absurd. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I remember what you were going to read later on today.
Yeah, thanks, Rodney. I'm going to try to get to it. I've got a full plate, and I'll try to do it and get it in. And I do thank you for your reminder. I'm writing it down as we speak. Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, I remember you asked me to remind you.
I did. Rodney, thanks for your call, buddy. I appreciate it. I got to go do a call in right now. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I believe we have Jim McCall on the phone. And if we do, I'm going to kind of stick my neck out like a turtle and say, good morning, Jim.
I'm dialing.
No, she's dialing. Okay. Dialing for Jim at Traveloop Supply. And they're located at 1050 West, 203 South of Hayburn, right there at Jim McCall's farm. Wonderful people, and he's on the air right now. The Bubba Rope King. Here he is, Jim McCall. Good morning, Jim.
Hey, good morning, Zeb.
What do you got for specials over at Traveloop today?
Hey, we need to have a closeout on irrigation equipment. I've got a couple of wheel line motors left over. We should make you guys a deal on those. If you need valve stands and valve caps, that sort of thing, we've got them. Also, we'd like to get rid of some of our Forney supplies. We've got a bunch of shop welding and cutting supplies there. We can set the guys up with those.
All right. Well, listen, boy, harvest is in full swing right now, and I know a lot of guys. I had a couple of people yesterday at the remote broadcast say, Bubba ropes. They need Bubba ropes, and I know that you've got Bubba ropes, right?
You bet. You bet. We've got them here. If we don't have the one you need, give us a few days. We'll get it in for you. Looks like we don't need it for a few days, but this weather can change in a hurry.
I'll tell you what. And then also, real quick, Jim, real fast, tell us about cleaning those air filters. I had a gentleman call me the other day and say, absolutely, you do a wonderful job.
You bet. Get us your air filters. Once again, first one's free. If you're a new customer, we send them off. They're professionally handled, cleaned, inspected, and repackaged, and we bring them back to you the next week.
All right. I'm telling you, this man and his business so vital to everybody that makes their living in agriculture, if you got a shop, whatever. Traveloop Supply, 1050 West, 203 South in Hayburn with my dear friend Jim McCall. Jim, have a great weekend.
You too, Zeb. Good to talk to you.
Hey, buddy, thank you so much. I tell you what, there's a guy that's been so supportive of our program, and we really appreciate Jim McCall and Travel Loop Supply. Hey, gotta hurry. Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley, brings you the Capital Press Ag Minute. They're up next. Here we go.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly.
The U.S. District Court of the District of Columbia has denied plaintiffs' request for a preliminary injunction that would have blocked the Department of Agriculture from implementing and enforcing its revised country of origin labeling regulations until a lawsuit filed in response to the rules is concluded. The court announced its decision October 11th. Unveiled in May, the revised labeling rules required labels on muscle cuts of beef, pork, and other meats to include information on where animals were born, raised, and slaughtered. In denying the injunction, the presiding judge said those organizations suing the Department of Agriculture to overturn the rules failed to demonstrate either a likelihood of success of merit or irreparable injury. This is Hannah Browse.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and capitalpress.com.
Oh, these are wonderful people at Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley, and they can handle your recycling needs. I'm telling you, I keep mentioning it every day. They pay top dollar for scrap iron, tin, cars, autos, stainless steel, aluminum, copper, and so much more. And if you're looking to get rid of a place to go with old car batteries, yup, they'll help you at Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley. You get a hold of them today, 678-2321. Calls are welcome and appreciated, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know what's interesting is when you talk about a subject like this, where girls are trying to get into boys' sports, look at the LPGA. They have their own tournaments. They have their own prize money. They have their own sponsors. But yet there is always this constant finger pointing that some of the LPGA players want to go play in men's golf tournaments. Why? Why? Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I just wanted to call back. I attended the meeting where Tom Luna explained Common Core. To hear him talk about it, it sounds like baseball, motherhood, and apple pie all wrapped up in one. But I can tell you what, Obama is supporting Common Core, and when you get into the dirt's in the details, and they talk about standards, but when you get down to what's actually going to be taught, and he never even talked about the language arts things, and I can tell you, folks, we need to be really suspicious of this thing. And the funding, they say no state funding's coming, but what is coming is through the back door, through various grants to various school districts.
Yeah, well, let me just jump in. Let me jump in here for a second and say that the terminology, and boy, I've been reading all I can by non-prejudicial sources studying Common Core. I mean, I'm not going to listen to one side, I'm going to listen to both sides, and I'm going to discern what I think is absolutely good, bad, or ugly about Common Core. But start right with the name. Common Core. And this is what bothers me the most, is I don't see, so far in my studies, a part of it to be for the excellent students, a part of it to be where these people can reach for the stars and achieve bigger and higher goals. I see that word common, and that really bothers me because it seems to lump everybody into the same nucleus, and I don't like that.
Well, absolutely. That's the whole deal. And here's the deal. A dictator has to have control of health care. We got Obamacare. And another part of Common Core is to sell Obamacare. Yeah, that's part of the Common Core in a curriculum or whatever. Yeah, so they're using the education system to propagandize our kids so that the parents will accept Obamacare.
Yeah, there's another issue too, Adrian, and I got to cut you short here, but there's another issue too that I'm really offended by, and we're going to see a lot more of the advertisements on television and hear them on radio, is Obama and his administration. I don't know where they came up with the money to buy all these big ads, but they have incorporated now certain teams in the NFL, like the Baltimore Ravens, and some of their key players to go on television and really push for buying into Obama Obamacare. They're really playing on the heartstrings of America to buy this. And I want to know if my taxpaying dollars have been used by this administration to promote Obamacare. If that's the case, I'm really upset and livid about this. I don't want my money to go promote Obamacare.
Well, absolutely, and I'm sure it is our tax money. Either that or they're getting money from the George Soros people and so forth. And of course, these guys are such hypocrites. They want us to pay more taxes while they shelter all of their stuff and tax-free foundations and so forth.
I just want somebody to see and tell me. Here's the deal on Common Core. I want somebody to sit down and give me an A, B, C, D, kind of an elementary background of Common Core and prove to me, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Common Core is not a government enticed or a government led system that's going to create little Hitlers to follow along in lockstep, and you can't achieve a certain thing because the doors aren't open for achievement to reach for the stars and excel. I don't see that excellent in Common Core right now that is needed for students to reach above everybody else and say, I'm better because I studied harder.
Well, that's the whole thing. They pointed out that basically, this is supposed to be lifting everybody up to higher standards. But the problem is they're a lot of it they're teaching so that the parents won't even be able to help the students in math. Because they're changing the methods. And one of the people in the audience brought out a good point that they are making it difficult for the parents to be able to help the students, and that the verbiage and so forth, they're teaching things at a level, and the teachers are now told, throw away your old teaching methods. We're going to tell you how best to teach. So the teachers that are good teachers out there are going to drop out of the system because they're going to get real frustrated with the system.
All right,
it's all part of the process.
I got to run, but I do appreciate the fact that I've got at least 3 or 4 more books right here that I've got to read about Common Core, and starting next week I'm going to get more into it. Got to run, do some commercials. Adrian, thank you for your call.
There's a good sources. New American.
I know, I've got it.
And eagleforum.org.
I got it, buddy. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yeah, I am not sold on Common Core education. I'm not sold on the concept. I'm certainly not sold beyond the common name, Common Core. There's a lot of questions I have about that being the new education reliability for the government and for our students. Hey, Perkins Restaurant and Bakery. Don't forget, September 26th, new location for Lunch Bunch. I will say it, I keep getting calls. Perkins Restaurant and Bakery, 800 North Overland in Burley, where they believe in being best buds with your taste buds. Brand new Lunch Bunch location. And we're going to be there for the first time, 11:30 on September 26th. You'd better be there. It's going to be a special day. Special day. There's 2 people that are having birthdays that want to say thank you to you. Okay? Be there. Might even be a cake for you to enjoy. Okay? Perkins Restaurant and Bakery, 800 North Overland in Burley. Don't forget, for all your dining, breakfast, lunch, and dinner at Perkins. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And while I have a moment real quick between phone calls, and then I'm going to tell you about Vladimir Putin. Look out. Rain for Rent, 134 South, 600 West, Highway 27 in Paul. Man, they are the leaders with Reinke Pivot Sales and Service to help you with all your irrigating needs. And they're going to be having a drawing for a 40-inch flat screen TV, and this is going to go all the way through October. You better check it out. All the great Reinke rebates for this fall. They can help you. They will. You got to stop in and check it out. Rain for Rent, 134 South, 600 West, Highway 27 in Paul. Tell them Zeb sent you. Or give them a call, 438-5065. Here's the deal, folks. I think we have been sucker punched. And I'm not sure we can get off the canvas. I'm not sure that this administration is going to try to get up and fight back. This has to be said. And you may not agree with this, and you may have your eyebrows arch a little bit and say, whoa, Zeb, what are you talking about? The truth is, Vladimir Putin is now basically telling the United States what to do. Basically, we are in second place. Basically, Russia and Vladimir Putin are in control, thanks to our pathetic, amateur, disgusting Obama administration. I have listened to a lot of experts. I've called a lot of experts back in Washington, D.C. and New York and other think tanks. And honestly, I think they are right, and that's why I've formed this opinion. Russia is now in control. The world is now being led by Russia and Putin. I believe that in the very near future, we will be asked to, in a not very diplomatic manner, leave the Middle East or else. I see this coming. I see the dominance of Russia through Iran, through Syria and other countries with their power. I see it that we are now, because we've shown weakness, the demands are going to be made to us, the United States, to get out, put our tail between our legs, and run back home. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. Unfortunately, our so-called president is now being used as Putin's doormat. And you're absolutely right in what you just said. We are going down the tubes as far as being number one. We're gone.
Tony, this morning in the New York Times, Vladimir Putin had a huge opinion and editorial on their op-ed page and stated why he and why Russia is now in control, not the United States. We have let this man, Obama, denigrate and deliberately put us in second, third, fourth, and fifth place with his apology tour that started in his first administration. And I am very concerned for my grandchildren. I'm very concerned for my family. That right now, this administration has put us into a confining situation in the world to where they are going to dedicate and dictate to us what we can do, what we can't do, or else. I'm telling you right now, Tony, there are people that are going to scoff at this, but Vladimir Putin and Russia, they are now in control.
Oh, absolutely. And what bothers me is how many of our newspapers are going to fall in line with Putin. This is another thing that really bothers me.
Do you get the Times News?
I wouldn't touch the Times News.
Well, I'm just telling you, I've criticized them on many, many occasions, but there's a cartoon in the op-ed page of the Times News this morning, I think that very much symbolizes what's going on. And look at that if you get a chance to, because Putin is playing us as a little bitty fish, biting and nibbling on all the hooks and the bait that Russia puts out there. And it's very true. We are now a second-class nation to Russia, thanks to Vladimir Putin and thanks to an absolutely amateur and stupid administration, Barack Obama.
You're right, Zeb, but keep on going, and I hope everybody in the United States is listening to what you just said. We need somebody up there like you standing up for America, and unfortunately, a lot of people aren't.
Well, I appreciate your remarks, Tony, and I'm willing to take the heat for this remark, and a lot of people are going to say, oh, how un-American. Why, that's terrible. How dare he say that we're in second place? How dare he say that we're being dictated to by Russia? We are, Tony. We are. They are in complete control of this situation in the Middle East, and I will tell you this. If they take over the dominance of these chemical weapons as being the international overseer, we are dead in the water. That Evan Root is not going to start again. We're stuck and we're not getting back to land.
Well, as usual, methane gas is coming out of Obama's mouth, and that's all we've got from this guy.
I couldn't agree more. I'm so upset about the lack of American spirit and the pride in America and the pride of standing up for the flag, the pride of standing up for our Constitution, the pride of standing up for what our forefathers lived and died for, and this amateur, pathetic administration, they disgust me.
Well, the Americans won't know what they've lost and what they have right now until they lose it.
I couldn't agree more. Tony, thank you. God bless you and Mary. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you. Time for a weather update. Now, I know a lot of you people are probably saying, why, he doesn't know what he's talking about. You just stop and look, folks. Some of the greatest, what should I say, connoisseurs of history and what's happening on a daily basis around the globe have said, as of this morning and last night, we're in trouble. We have been led by the nose by Russia and Putin, and this administration, so pathetically weak and so pathetically amateuristic, they don't care. Weather forecast right now being brought to you by Sportsman's Warehouse, 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls. Boulevard. And, of course, Sportsman's Warehouse, the great indoors for those who love the great outdoors. And I said this yesterday. A lady called me on the cell phone, and she said, what did you say about a select clearance on clothing and footwear, 50% off at Sportsman's Warehouse? Yep, till September 15th. Better get in there. They have friendly experts, quality gear, and down-home attitude at Sportsman's Warehouse in Twin. Here's Michael Rogers.
We got a slight chance of thunderstorms in the forecast starting today, going into the weekend, and it should be shutting itself off by Saturday. But otherwise, temperatures are going to be on the cool side, not going to be on the hot side. It's going to be right around in the mid to upper 80s. Other than that, enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Sportsman's Warehouse, 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls. Thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Jeff. Wasn't it Michelle Obama who said in the past that she was ashamed of our country, and it's the first time that she'd actually been proud of it in her life?
You know, we've got a really bad connection on your cell phone, and I'm having a hard time hearing you, so kind of hold still, real still, and say it slowly. You were saying something about Michelle Obama, that she had made a statement that when her husband was elected president, that's the first time she's been proud of the U.S. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's what that's what I'm asking, because now I'm not ashamed of the U.S. I've never been ashamed of the United States of America. We've fought and spilled too much blood for it. I am really, really, really ashamed about our administration and how people who have supposedly smart and gone to college can be so dumb to keep this guy in office.
Yeah.
You know, I see around that the fact that he's given our country away, and not just monetarily, but our respect that we have fought, died, and earned. Our brothers, our sisters, our fathers, our grandfathers, it's going away. To be somebody's doormat, that would never have happened. I don't care under Bush, Reagan, or anybody in the past. It would not have happened.
I agree with you, and I thank you for your call and your comment. It solidifies the fact that I'm trying to say this morning, that the pride in America, the pride in its past, and also the future pride for our oncoming generations, my grandsons. I don't want to be second place. I don't want to be just a member of the herd. I don't want to be led by somebody like Putin. I don't want to be led and told what to do by Russia. I don't want to be forced to go sit in a corner and be a good dog by Vladimir Putin. This Vladimir Putin, a KGB killer. This guy is nothing more than a punk and an absolute killer. He went through the ranks of the KGB, and now he leads Russia. He's very pugnacious. He doesn't care about humanity at all, and he's telling us what to do? Give me a break.
You know, Zeb, one more quick point before I hang up on you. I wish there was some way that the real Americans, the real citizens of this country, could stand up and put their voice out there to be heard for the people like Putin and that little dude over in North Korea to say, we are the Americans. You're not hearing us. You're hearing somebody else.
They can.
We will not stand for this.
They can, and it happens next year, 2014, at the midterm elections. It's about time America showed some backbone, and it's about time America started showing some common sense. We've got to get leadership in the House and also the Senate that absolutely is going to stand up for the Constitution. Riley, thank you very much for your call. I appreciate it. Thank you. He's right. I'm telling you, when I heard these stories, Charles Krauthammer and many others that I respect, looking at this situation to where literally our country now is, if Russia gets this deal to handle the chemical weapons, They are going to be the quarterback of the entire Middle East. Oh, everybody's going to look to Putin and go, oh, my, here's the poster boy that we need to follow. Oh, my, here are the dictates that we need to adhere to. Oh, my, as the Russians keep pummeling into Syria and keep going into Iran and keep going into the Middle East. Why, those doggone Americans, why, we showed them, didn't we? Why, we're going to kick them out of the Middle East. And poor Israel sits there going, where's our friends? Where's our support? What happened to America? And I honestly believe in my heart of hearts, I said this yesterday to Representative Fred Wood, he agreed with me. Obama ran on the premise that he wanted to see a weaker America. He wanted to see a weaker America on the world scale. Well, he's done it. Aren't you proud? Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I had a very dear friend of mine last night tell me that he was really upset at me, very mad at me, because he was driving, listening to the program the other day, and he was beating his fist on the steering wheel saying, that's right, I agree with you, doggone it. But the reason he got mad at me is because he was beating on the steering wheel going, yeah, you're right, Zeb, and he missed his turn and drove like 20 miles the wrong way. I apologize for causing him inconvenience. Hey, don't forget the big tire sale at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Absolutely, they've got all the tires, like the Wildcat AT2 for your light truck and SUV tires, starting at just $117.15. And they've got for your passenger cars the Ultra Z900. Woo, yeah, 30-day ride guarantee, starting at just $109.67. Every location, 7 locations, of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers serve you with the best of service, the best of tires, the best of brake service, the best of everything. They really care about your safe driving. Stop in and see any one of them today. Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, Lane and Rupert, John on Pole Line in Twin Falls, my old buddy the Seahawk fan, Randy on Overland, in Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. You know, when you start talking about somebody else leading us by the nose, evidently some people might be offended by that, but it's the truth, folks. Give me your thoughts on this. I honestly think it's time that the United States stood up on its hind legs again and said, okay, that's enough. We're Americans. We're very prideful of our past. We are a very, very concerned citizenry for the rest of the world, but we're not going to be stepped on. We're not going to be walked on. We're not going to be told what to do. I don't want to be told what to do by some other country. I don't want to be dictated to by the United Nations. What a bunch of hypocrites they are. I don't want to be dictated. I want to be an American underneath our Constitution, underneath our value system, and to hell with everybody else. Sounds a little harsh? That's the way I feel. Your thoughts. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, by the way, for those who cared, the Million Muslim March, oh yeah, this was supposed to be a great, big, grandiose event. Oh my, the Muslims were going to come out on 9/11, and they were going to have a huge march. It fizzled. It was a 0 on the scale of 1 to 10. But on the other hand, all the American bikers that showed up, you better believe that there were thousands. God bless them. Good morning, you're on the air. Good morning.
The reason we can't get rid of somebody like Obama is we got too many of these people that are sticking their hand out wanting this money, all these goods for nothing. There are too many of us just giving it to them.
I agree.
We need to stand up and fight for what's right. We aren't doing that.
I can't agree more. And you know what? The other day on television, I was listening to a story to where I think it was in Ohio, John Kasich, the governor, is implementing a theory that if you're on welfare, you got to do something to earn it, whether it's public service or whether it's some kind of a job, whether it's helping people, whether it's helping at the school systems or whatever. What's wrong with that?
There isn't a thing wrong with it. We're buying these people cigarettes, beer,
yep,
everything.
Yep.
You know, we had to work for what we got.
Why should you and I have to go out and bust our tails every day to work and try to save something for the future? And we've got a lot of, I'm not saying all, but we have a lot of leeches on the system that are just grinning all the way when they get their check, and they're going home and watching Oprah, sitting back eating bonbons going, hey man, this life is cool. Just like that stupid surfer in California, about 28 years of age, knowing that he beat the system, doesn't work a day in his life, and he's living off you and I, and I'm upset about it.
That's right. They're electing Obama.
Amen. Got to run, Fred. Thank you, sir. God bless you.
You bet.
Thank you. Every time I saw that tape, and I watched it 3 times, of that surf bum in California, it just made me want to punch out my television set. That would have been good for the economy. I'd have had to buy a new one. Good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Zeb.
Real quick.
Hey, I'm not going to say, I don't want you to think I'm in favor of Putin and Russia, but that's what a world leader does. He says, this is what you're going to do, and doesn't. He just flat out told Obama, shut up, go sit down.
You know, you're right.
President or anybody with the balls to say, no, this is what we're doing.
You're right. Now, you're 100% right in the analogy that is a world leader that wants to take over the world. I've always maintained.
Shut up.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you.
So find somebody that'll run against Obama and say the exact same thing. I don't think we got one that they'll elect.
That is exactly right. Sir, I know. All right, buddy. Thanks much for your call. I appreciate it. That's exactly right. Putin has put himself in a position right now to where what he says is going to be picked up on a notepad, and all the press is going to go, yeah, well, here's what Putin said. Yeah, I think we should do this. What about our president? What about this, the greatest country ever in the history of mankind? God has blessed us and showered us with his blessings, and we have such an amateur, ridiculously poor president and administration. They're just letting it wash out to sea. I'll be back in 6. Oh, my. Welcome back to hour number 2. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell. Our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, and a lot of our great advertisers. And Gina, if you're listening this morning, we don't need to have the jingle right after this. So again, we want to remind everybody, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. Also, our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and our friends at Western Way Services, always at your disposal, 734-6969. Let's see, what else have we got cooking here this morning? I want to talk to you a little bit about Hanson Mortuary. Yes, I do, because Joel Heward is absolutely the owner, manager, and one of the nicest people I've ever had a chance to meet. And he is the head man over at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, 436-5636. We're going to have him on the air again, I think, next week or shortly thereafter, because I'll tell you, they do so much to provide the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort. Locally owned and operated, and they always uphold the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity for you and your family. Please contact them today. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, 436-5636. Well, lo and behold, it is a beautiful blonde lady walking in the door, and her name is Kay Cameron with the Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning, Zeb Bell.
How are you?
I'm great this beautiful fall morning. Are you mad
at me or something?
No, why?
You never call me. I said last week on the program, call me.
I put the note on my desk, and then I get busy, and it gets shuffled into the papers. But you don't ever call me either.
Well, you know something? I feel so bad because I ask people to call me, and I'm just nothing more than a shuffle of papers on an unlimited supply of paper on your desk.
Well, that's not quite so true, but I apologize. I think about it, and it's not quite after 11 o'clock yet, and I can't call till after your show's over.
I know, but I'm starting to feel that nobody likes me anymore.
Oh, whatever.
Okay, thanks. I'll grow up. What are we going to talk about today?
Well, hey, I want to talk about this healthcare reform seminar that we're hosting next Monday, Monday, September 16th, starting at 1 o'clock at Maury's Steakhouse.
Okay.
Now, this is open to all business owners, operators, managers, and it really is a very, very great opportunity for people to come and learn and get questions answered, and find out what they need to know about healthcare reform and how it's going to affect their business, because as I'm sure you're well aware of, and everybody's well aware, that this Affordable Care Act does affect everybody.
Yes, it does.
And we want to bring somebody in who can answer questions for our businesses and for these owners and operators, because it really does affect them, and there's so many questions that they may have, and so we wanted to provide this for our businesses so they could get their questions answered.
All right, now, Kate, very, very slowly tell everyone where, how, and how much, and what time, because I'm going to try to be there. I get an average of probably 15 calls a week, at least, regarding the devastating effects that Obamacare is going to have on businesses and families, and this is very important, so tell us again where it is and what time.
Okay, this is next Monday, September 16th at 1 o'clock p.m., and it should be about 1.5 to 2 hours, so we've got scheduled 1 to 3, and it's at Maury's Steakhouse in Burley.
Okay.
And again, this is for business owners and operators, so this isn't for just somebody who has questions. I mean, certainly, I'm sure your questions could be answered, but we've got this presentation specifically tailored for business owners, operators, you know, from all sizes. So, such as yourself, Deb, who you run a small business.
Right.
Or all the way up to large employers and all sizes in between, because there really are important things. But this one is specifically tailored for business.
I absolutely want to tell everybody, in all seriousness, that if you have any time at all to attend this, you need to if you're in the business world. I don't care if you're running a mom-and-pop shop or if you've got 30, 50, whatever employees, you need to be in attendance, because there are, and I'm not trying to exaggerate, but there are thousands of questions that need to be answered about Obamacare and how it's going to affect small business, not only here, but across the United States.
Everywhere. And we're bringing in one of the leading experts in the state on this issue, Shad Priest. He works with Regents Blue Shield. He's not there to sell the product.
You know, a lot of people send me public service announcements on what's coming up, and I admit that we have such a limited amount of time on our show with all the different segments and all the different guests and everything that sometimes I overlook some of these. So I'm going to quickly go through some, and if you don't hear yours mentioned this morning, I will try to get to it again next week. There's going to be 8 weeks of beginner art classes for ages 10 and older taught by my dear friend Carl Clark, beginning Tuesday, September 24th from 5:30 to 6:30 in the Fellowship Hall of the Rupert United Methodist Church. And if you'd like more information, call 436-3354. Don't forget, the Idaho Elks Rehab System is holding their annual food caravan event, and that's going to be through September 13th, which is tomorrow at the D.L. Evans Bank, Mini-Cassia branches. September 14th, City of Rocks National Preserve's 25th birthday, and activities begin at 9 a.m. this Saturday, the 14th, and they're going to be at the Visitors Center with exhibits. Don't forget September 21st, the 6th annual POW-MIA Recognition Day ceremonies, and that's going to be at the Square in Rupert, and then also September 21st, Minidoka County Centennial Concert with the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. Absolutely fantastic. Let's see what else have I got here real quick. I want to make sure I don't miss anybody that's going to be coming up right now. We've got a couple in October. I'll get to those later. But I think we're pretty much caught up. I do want to remind all the residents of Murtaugh area that you should have received your form in the mail about a meeting coming up on October 2nd in regards to the possible closure of the Murtaugh Post Office or limiting the hours and service. Now, doggone it, get involved, community, and show your responses by picking and choosing what you want to see happen to the Murtaugh Post Office. And don't forget that meeting coming up on October 2nd at 6 p.m. at the Murtaugh High School cafeteria. Those are just some of the public service announcements that we have for this morning, and I'll try to get to more of those next week. I got to take care of some bills here real quick, so stand by. Cameron and Siemens Insurance. And by the way, Dean is going to be with us this morning at 10:30, and we're going to be talking about Obamacare. This thing is just looming on the horizon as one big wreck. And I think you ought to talk to them and call them and find out about your life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, everything for security of your business and your home and your family. You'd better talk to Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Highway 24 in Rupert. Number to call, 436-4424. You know what? Talking about security and talking about energy efficiency, you've got to talk about our friends over at Burley Glass. Hello, Gentle Ben! There's a good old boy. I'm telling you, he came in with his crew and put the windows in my office, and they're absolutely fantabulous. Burley Glass, 1029 Overland Avenue in Burley. I'm telling you, you better check it out. Make sure that your home is energy efficient and you're not losing your heat in the wintertime through windows that are like screens. They've got the great, big, wonderful atrium windows serving your home. Call Gentle Ben today at Burley Glass, 678-1459. I just had my phone ring. I got to check and see what's going on my phone. And it says you have a text. Okay, now let's go over to text. And I blew it. Turned off the wrong button. I lost it. Okay, here it is. It says, Karen is ready. I tell you what, the age of technology. I love it. And with that, knowing that Karen is ready, we say good morning to the lovely Karen Anderson at Rock Creek Growers on the corner of Maxine Lane and Irene Streets in Kimberly. How you doing, Karen?
Hi, Zeb. I'm doing fine. I'm doing absolutely wonderful.
It's cool.
Is it raining over where you're at?
Well, no. As a matter of fact, we had a few drips this morning, kind of like the Obama administration, a few drips. And
yeah.
and then it quit, and honestly, the sun's shining. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Oh, okay. Well, we're still a little cloudy over here, a little breezy. It's cool. It's absolutely beautiful. We had some rain coming into work this morning, but yeah, it's not raining now. But you can ask for more beautiful weather.
Well, and you know,
that's what we're trying to promote here, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's supposed to stay relative. Well, we're going into a different age, a different kind of a cyclical weather pattern that happens every year. We're going to see it cool down. We're going to see old man fall start to creep in through the door. So what's happening over at Rock Creek Growers?
Well, we are continuing our fall yard sale. And so we still have all the plant material at the 35% off. What we have added to that for those people who are trying to do a little bit of the hardscapes, we have all of our hardscape material at 20% off. And for those who maybe don't understand what in heck I'm trying to refer to as hardscapes, hardscapes is going to be like your boulders, your decorative rock that goes in your beds. It's going to be your pavers. It's going to be your wall block. So it's anything that you can use in your landscape that's going to be a permanent fixture that doesn't have a chance of dying on you. Is that a pretty good explanation?
You know, I was really curious when you said that. I thought, what in the world is she trying to pull the wool over my eyes? Hardscape. What's a hardscape? Now I understand.
Yeah. It is, but 20% off on that, and sometimes we really don't do those kind of things until the fall, and we'll run them as specials, during the holidays, because a lot of people will come out and buy rocks, to do the engraving welcomes and stuff. But we're right now, it's been hot, it's been slow, so we're just going to go ahead and offer it now, and hopefully, we'll benefit some of those people out there wanting to get out and spruce things up this fall before the weather changes.
Well, really, I think you're going to have a wonderful weekend. I really am not anticipating too much rain, and I say that with a little bit of a worried frown on my face. But going into the weekend, it's going to be fantastic. So it would be a great time to stop by Rock Creek Growers.
It will be. It will be. And we'll be here ready for you. We have, believe it or not, because of the 35% off, we have a few varieties that we are sold out of now, and we have a few that are starting to get limited. So, I suggest to, pop out. Your selection is better now than what it will be in a week from now. So, we'll be here. We'll be happy to help them.
Why don't everybody in the listening audience just kind of jump into a great big old bus? Go find a big old bus someplace and save on gas and energy and time and just jump in this big old bus and just take a tour of beautiful, beautiful Rock Creek Growers. Why, you'd probably stand at the gate and welcome them all in there, wouldn't you, Karen?
We would. You know what? We'd even give them a drink. So.
No, I think you've got that. I don't think people appreciate what a beautiful, beautiful place you have over there, and it's so accessible and so easy to get in and out of. Tell everybody again the best way to find Rock Creek Growers.
Easiest way is really, they've got the new light that is supposed to be functioning today, so we're hoping that it is working, because boy, this morning the traffic was backed up to the Arctic Circle heading out of town.
Oh my.
But if you turn at the new light, you come straight downtown Kimberly, you're going to come to the four-way stop. You continue about 7 more blocks to Maxine Lane, because it's on the south end of town. You can only turn to the east or to your left on Maxine, and we're at the end of the street. And that puts you right at our gate, and, at that point, you've reached us because you're already passing trees.
Absolutely. And these wonderful people, they get there. What time do you get there in the morning normally?
Yeah, I'm not too much of an early bird. We're here at 8 o'clock in the morning.
All right. And all they have to do, if they're not sure where they're at, is just look for these people standing in the middle of all these beautiful trees and shrubs waving at you, kind of like the Walton family on television. And they're always just saying, come on in, come on in. Isn't that what you do every day?
It is. And it's really so sad because, you know what, we do this and we talk on a weekly basis, and it's just amazing how many people still come in and said, oh, we didn't even know you were here, or we couldn't find you. And, it's just, it's so hard because, we compete with all of the box stores and stuff. And Randy and I were out looking for a little grill last night and looking at their material and stuff, and it's like, oh, it's so sad, we're offering a premium quality product that we grow right here. It's acclimated, and we stand behind our product because we know, we've grown it. So
absolutely.
It's a good product, so we...
Absolutely. I tell you, I've known these people for a long time. Randy and Karen Anderson and their family. Rock Creek Growers on the corner of Maxine Lane and Irene Streets. Just take yourself a little time this weekend and go over and say hello to Rock Creek Growers. Karen, God bless you. Have a wonderful weekend.
Will do. Thank you. I appreciate immensely.
All right. Thank you. Have a great day. I love those folks. They're very, very nice people. And believe me, you've got to go see it. It sits on 39 acres of heaven. It's just beautiful. Hey, don't forget Let's Ride, Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley, where the fun is sold. Do you have a four-wheeler? See, you better get in there. And they've got all the new 2014 models coming in every day. Every day. And now's the time to buy one. They've got great selections on all the street bikes and the dirt bikes and the ATVs and the Can-Am four-seater side-by-sides and the Yamaha Viking side-by-sides. Oh, my. That is where the fun is sold. And they got a fantastic service department. I'm telling you what, Nick and the crew over there, they really care. They're open Tuesdays through Saturdays, 9 to 6, where the fun is sold. Let's ride. You stop over and see them today. Doggone it, who let all these dogs out anyway?
Let the dogs out! Who let the dogs out?
They got dogs all over the place. There's a poodle running with a St. Bernard, for heaven's sakes. What's going on? Ken Mort, Minidoka Animal Control. Who let these dogs out?
I don't know, Zeb, but I keep picking them up.
And giving them tickets.
Yeah.
What's happening, Ken?
Not a whole lot. That'd be him. I'm wanting to feature Duke today.
Duke.
He is a black lab cross.
Okay.
Sweetheart of a dog. He was actually picked up by a lady who was driving down the interstate through Minidoka County area, and she picked him up, brought him to us, and we've been trying to find his owner. We've had him for a little over a month now, and have had nobody come forward on him. So we're wanting to feature him today. I mean, he's a real loving dog, likes to play, and good on a leash, and just a sweetheart. So if anybody's interested in him or any of the others we have, they can reach me at 438-2200 or on my cell phone at 670-7268.
I was talking to a very good friend of mine up in Oregon not too long ago, and lives fairly close to the interstate, about 1.5 miles away from the interstate. And he was telling me that it's almost becoming a casual occurrence up there to have people driving down the road on the interstate and just leaving their dogs off on the interstate. How disgusting, how inhumane, and there ought to be some kind of a law that says if you're caught doing that, you'll serve 90 years in prison without parole.
Yeah, that would be nice. But there is a law and stuff in that the state of Idaho has on that if you abandon your dog, like you take it out and drop it off somewhere,
yeah,
and that is considered abandonment, and it is against the law. It's considered animal cruelty.
Okay.
So I mean,
what do they do? Do they tie you to an anthill and pour honey all over you, or what do they do?
Basically, you get a misdemeanor fine.
Oh, that doesn't. I still think the anthill theory is better.
Yeah. Spread them with honey and put them on an anthill.
Yeah. See, I know deep down in your heart, you know I'm right, but you're scared to get as radical as I am.
True, because I got to look out for these friendly furry friends of ours. So
I know you do. But you know something? I was going to ask you the other day, what is and I don't know quite how to phrase this, but what is the most weird-looking breed of dog that you've ever picked up?
Well, I picked up a Shar-Pei Pit Bull cross.
Oh, my gosh. He was just full of wrinkles, wasn't he?
It wasn't mine, was it?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
No, it was actually an owner surrender.
Yeah.
It and his other dog started fighting, and he couldn't keep both of them anymore. So he called me up and had me come pick up the dog, and unfortunately and stuff. And he had the look of the pit bull, but didn't have quite as many wrinkles as the Shar-Pei, but still had the wrinkles on the face and everything. So
he looked like an old rodeo announcer, didn't he?
Well, he almost looked like you, Zeb.
Thanks a lot, Ken. It's too bad this is going to be the last program on my show.
We call them pit pays.
Yeah.
Or pit pays.
No, but that was the most weird, huh?
Yeah. And I did say the weirdest call-out I've had, and that is I got a call the other day. We actually have a badger running around in Paul.
Uh-oh. What did you do?
Well, I'm trying to get it trapped. Unfortunately, just want to let everybody know that if they're over by the post office, to keep their eyes peeled on that there in Paul, because it was caught over there on, I want to say it was either Monday or Tuesday this week, right there in the parking lot, and ran over behind the old bar that sits there next to the post office and went down in the basement.
Well, yeah, but that's where they store the booze.
Well, I don't think they got any booze there. So.
Oh, okay. But, you know, badgers are bad dudes.
They are. Luckily, this one is a juvenile and is still kind of scared of people, but it won't take long before he's no longer scared, and that. So we're trying to get him caught.
See, now that's the University of Wisconsin mascot, the Badgers. Come on, you're supposed to say something.
Can we feed them alcohol and they'd be okay, Zeb? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. All they have to do is take them on State Street at Madison, Wisconsin, the state capital. Take your badgers over there, and believe me, there'll be enough liquid refreshment you can catch them anywhere, anytime. Bucky Badger! I can see you're really not wanting to carry this conversation further, so I will say, Ken Mort, Minidoka Animal Control, thank you for being on the show this morning.
And thank you, Zeb.
God bless you, man. Who let these dogs out anyway, for heaven's sakes? Gather them up, Mort. What are you doing? Come on. I got poodles and Rottweilers and Cocker Spaniels. Ruby, stay here in the house. You don't want to join that crew. Okay, good morning. Let's see, I think it's time, probably past time. Seriously, the Badger is the mascot of the University of Wisconsin, and Bucky Badger was the mascot's name. And they had this big badger they used to take along to all the games and everything. Ugly son of a gun. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out. Speaking of interesting people to have on the air this morning, we always look forward to Thursdays because I get the lovely, the absolute knowledgeable, the absolute eloquent Rita Ramsey. Good morning, Rita.
Hello, how are you?
I am fantastic. How did you survive the remote yesterday?
I did.
Uh-huh. You did a good job.
Until 9:30 last night to finish, but I did.
All right. Rita, I said something in the first hour, if you were listening, and you should have been because there's a fine if you haven't. I said something in the first hour that raised the ire of a certain number of people that evidently didn't like what I said, but I'll stand behind it. Right now, I honestly believe that Vladimir Putin and Russia are leading the United States by the nose, and we have slipped into second place because of an amateur, pathetic, disgusting Obama administration. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree. It was said yesterday morning on a very early program that I was listening to that we turned over our title as world superpower to Putin on the eve of 9/11, and that is sad.
I did not hear the remarks, but I have absolutely drawn my own conclusions that this man, Putin, and Russia, and the dictates now that are happening around the world, especially in the Middle East, which I think are going to be hard to understand and bear in the near future if they do take over the chemical weapons, if they do take over the Syrian situation, we are going to be told, I'll emphasize the word, told what to do and what not to do, where to go and what not to be a part of in the future. We have relegated ourselves into being told by Russia.
Well, not only that, but I guess you can put me on that conspiracy train again because this is my feeling about what happened and how this all came about. I think in order for Obama to cover up their running guns, of which they were doing, and I think that's why they wanted to get rid of these other things, is that they could, or the weapons of mass destruction sites and stuff that they were so interested in taking care of now, but a couple of years ago when it was worse they weren't, is that they could see if they couldn't deflect and defray away the attention of that happening because they are feeding Al-Qaeda guns, our administration. And so I think that they, in order to do that, it's kind of like, okay, let's do this, and oh, now Putin gives us a reason to not have to do anything, and we won't be the bad guys. And I really think it's kind of part of Obama's plan anyway, is to defer over all of that he can to make this nation look weak and destroy us as a nation. He told us he would fundamentally change us, and that's what he's doing.
Well, he said prior to his first election, while he was still a so-called state senator that had a very poor voting record, he made these statements that he wanted to see America downgraded as far as not being a superpower, not being where we are in the world status today. And I agree with you. You're not on a conspiracy theory train that I haven't bought a ticket on because I don't trust this man. I don't like this man. I think he has absolutely sold us down the river, and I think it's all part of his apology tour, which is coming to fruition.
Well, that's what I think. And you had mentioned that article in the New York Times that Putin had written, and I thought, this is quite interesting that all of a sudden now Putin's the adult in the room. And it really bothers me because if it was Reagan wouldn't be taking this. This guy is a KGB guy who could kill me with his little finger if he wanted to.
That's
probably.
Right.
So what makes us think that now all of a sudden he's just a humanitarian of the world? In his last paragraph of that article, he said, I would rather disagree with the case he made on American exceptionalism, talking about President Obama, stating that the United States policy is what makes America different. It's what makes us exceptional. He goes on to say it's extremely dangerous to encourage people to see themselves as exceptional, whatever the motivation.
Rita,
that is bad.
What I'm looking at here is a very scary scenario. We saw Obama get on television the other night, and give a 17-minute speech, which really was worthless because there was nothing in it definitive as to what his administration is going to do. I'll underline the word is, or not going to do. Everything depends now on what Russia is going to do. And that has capitulated the power to Russia, and if anybody can't see that on the liberal left or the conservative right, they are blind and shouldn't be allowed to drive.
And just so everybody knows, this is not about Putin being in charge of the world. This is about oil.
Bingo!
This is about oil for Russia and getting a pipeline over there to a warm water port so they can do what they need to do.
Absolutely.
And so thank you, Mr. Obama, and your people who are against the oil thing.
I don't have many good things to say about this administration, where we're headed. I had a gentleman yesterday say something to me that really bothered me. He said, Zeb, don't get so upset. Don't let your blood pressure rise because we only have a couple of more years with Obama. And I looked at him and I said, you got to be kidding me. I said, look what he's done in a short matter of months to sell us down the drain from his last election. Do you think it's going to take him another full 2 years to destroy the Constitution and everything else? I said, it could be a matter of days.
Well, actually, he has already destroyed the Constitution in many ways. Now, this is the deal. This is what really upsets me, and this is where Rita Ramsey and the Tea Party movement come in. People think, all we have to do is outride this and everything will be fine.
Yeah.
Well, there's so much damage, it will take years for damage control to be done. And as long as people are sitting on their couches and thinking, the world's fine, everything's good, I don't need to worry about that, there's just tons and tons and tons of things that people ought to be concerned about, and we ought to be moving towards solving some of those issues. Now, my husband mentioned to me this morning that the place where he goes hunting is on fire now, and he kind of thought that the fires had escaped it. Well, this is just another thing, and I said, I don't mean to diminish you going hunting in your hunting spot, but you know what? Maybe some of this stuff needs to happen so some of the hunter guys that are sitting on their fannies and just hanging around the beer hall or sitting at home watching ball games thinking everything's fine and then I'll go hunting, there's problems out there and they need to help start solving them. And for people to just think, it doesn't matter, I know this or I know that, it just really bugs me. When we had that Liberty Summit last month, in fact, it was an excellent learning place. I learned so much; it's just not even funny. But to be candid with you, I sent out 172 individual invitations to business people, merchants, and farmers in the Minnecaja area. I got response from one farmer. Everybody else thinks the world is okay.
Now, wait a minute. Let me interrupt you there. Do you honestly believe that last statement, that everyone else in the world thinks the world is okay, or there might be another side to that coin, or they're so busy with their own families, their own jobs, their own involvement, they don't take the time to care about what's going on in the world?
Well, what I say to that is, if they don't think it's okay, they're not thinking it's bad enough to do anything. Now, I'm busy too. I come to work at 7 o'clock in the morning, and it was 9:30 when I left last night, and it has been every day this week, and there's numbers and numbers of days in the last several years that I never left before 9 o'clock at night after spending days, hours and hours and hours, and lots of times I work on Saturday. But you know what? I found time to become informed and to get active in some of these things that I think need attention. So I understand people being busy, but you know what? We're going to have to save the world.
I'm going to stop right there, Rita, because we're on the same page. And you brought up a subject that I'm really upset about, okay? You know that I put a lot of preparation into this program. I do more to bring more national guests to this program than any other show in the state of Idaho. Any. And I get really upset when I had a caller a couple of weeks ago on the program. I'm not going to mention anything further. I don't want to embarrass this person. But he called up and he said, hey, why don't you take the time to call so-and-so and get this? And you know something, Rita, that hit me wrong. And I blew up at...
For referred over to somebody else.
Yeah, it hit me wrong on the air, and I lost my temper that day on the air, and I said, wait a minute, how dare you call me on this program after I'm putting forth as much effort as I can to inform you and help other people get involved, and you're passing the buck and telling me that I should take the time to call this person. Don't you have a telephone? Haven't you got a finger that can hit the buttons and call them yourself? Why can't people stand up on their own back legs and start to be proactive?
Well, I think it's become a sickness in our country that people don't have to do stuff. You know, you've got a lot of the mainstream media out there that won't do their homework and do any research. They just pick up the bylines that somebody else said, and then they repeat them instead of doing their homework and checking on. There's not very many mainstream people out there. You've got tons and tons of kids that won't do their own work at school, and so there's cheating and stuff like that. But when nobody will sit down and do anything on their own or take personal responsibility, that's what we've become. We've become a nation of people who are just complacent. You know, it's like, well, I don't need to worry about that. Somebody's taking care of it, or, oh, yeah, I heard about that on such and such, and now I know. But you won't come to meetings, you won't join groups, you won't sign petitions, you won't call Congress, you won't do numbers of those things that need to be done or help us come up with a plan to help solve some of the issues.
How do we, and I know this is a question that possibly doesn't even have an answer, how do we get people to understand? Honestly, every day I'm preaching to them that, my goodness sakes, folks, our freedoms, our rights, our responsibilities, all have been eroded to the point where they've been thrown in the garbage can. How do we get people to understand this is not just a theatrics that we're putting on the radio? This is real life, and we're losing the American value system.
It comes down to one thing, and I don't have a college education. I graduated from high school, and I went to work, and I've been there for the last 42 years. And it all comes down to getting educated in what you read, what you listen to, and then going forward and doing something. I've told a number of people this in the last few weeks, and I'm going to keep hammering at it as hard as I can. But there's one thing that really affects us here in Idaho right now. Common Core is at the top of my list, of course, and I'm not going to go any further with that today.
Mm-hmm.
But it is, we've got to do something. The second thing is we have got to get our federal lands back into our state. Less than 50% of the lands are controlled by the state west of Denver.
Mm-hmm.
More than 95% state-controlled land is east of Denver. What does that tell you?
Absolutely.
And the deal is we can have it back. It's gone to the Supreme Court. Some of these states that got all of their federal land back into their care went to the Supreme Court on the federal government saying, no, you can't have them back. We have it in a trust. It's ours. We can take care of it. And the Supreme Court says, not so much. So now the federal government doesn't even want to go to the Supreme Court, but yet they've got more than 50% of our lands in the West under their care. And look what they're letting it do. They're letting it burn to absolutely nothing and various other things. They won't give us access to it. And yet people are sitting around saying, what can I do? Well, there's tons you can do. You can start finding out the facts and join with other people's voices.
Absolutely.
And doing something.
Absolutely. Rita, I want to shift gears here a little bit, but I want to do it right after we have a weather update. And the weather update this half hour is brought to everyone by Red's Trading Post, 203 Fifth Avenue South in Twin Falls. A good buddy of mine, Ryan Horsley, is the manager at Red's Trading Post in Old Town, Twin Falls since 1936. All your guns, all your ammo, all your accessories, knives, everything right there at Red's Trading Post, the very best for you. They know all about guns and can help you with all your needs. Red's Trading Post in Twin. Here's Michael Rogers with the weather.
We got a slight chance of thunderstorms in the forecast starting today, going into the weekend, and should be shutting itself off by Saturday. But otherwise, temperatures are going to be on the cool side, not going to be on the hot side. It's going to be right around in the mid to upper 80s. Other than that, enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Brought to everyone by Red's Trading Post, 203 Fifth Avenue South in Twin Falls. Rita, I want to change a little bit of where we're headed this morning because I was just given a news alert this morning by a news story by Michael Bastich with the Daily Caller, and this one ought to just really infuriate everybody. You and I have talked for a long time about how the EPA has turned into a bunch of punks and thugs, and did you hear what they did up in Alaska, a little town called Chicken, Alaska? Officials participated from the EPA in an armed raid of a gold mine up there. Last month in August, they swarmed the mine with armed guards with body armor, carrying machine guns and high-caliber weapons, and they said that the mine had violated some of the Clean Water Act. And you know what? After everything was said and done, the mine had not done a thing wrong.
Well, that's where education comes in. It's just like the feds going in over there to Moyles and making their little 8-hour deal with their ninja men and everything else. And then in the last 2 years, there's not been one thing filed, not one thing filed against them. But boy, they could come in there and just cause havoc and tear the place apart and hold their employees and everything else, and yet nothing happened. The federal government is overreaching its authority. The EPA has absolutely, really no constitutional right. They don't even have the right to be an agency.
That's right.
And we need to get rid of them. I've just been reading Mark Levin's book on the Liberty Amendment, and he talks about the EPA and their authority to regulate carbon dioxide and various other things that they have been regulating, and they have no reason to or any authority to do it. It's just that somebody says, okay, you can do this and do it, and because other people don't know that they can't, they don't have a leg to stand on. And it comes right back to what I mentioned earlier. We've got to get informed about this kind of stuff and find out what the solutions are and work together to do it.
Well, you probably heard the other day when I had Norm Somanko on my program from the Idaho Water Users Association, the ridiculousness, the asinine compliances that are being forced on possibly farmers up in western Idaho, the onion growers, carrot growers, etc., that the water used for irrigation has to be, quote-unquote, almost like swimming pool standards. That's impossible, Rita.
They're doing everything that they can to cut down people being self-reliant. This is one thing, and Adrian Arp will probably go, yeah, she gets it. You know what? That's just another way that they can shut down farming.
That's right.
And we will end up being, reliant on the government to help us do this or that and the other. Anytime they can shut down anything that they can where people can feed the nation or be self-reliant, doesn't matter what the Second Amendment, growing or anything else. There was an article here a while back that there was, I can't even remember where it was now, but I was just flabbergasted. There was a little community that they had a garden, and they wouldn't let them grow anything in their garden. I mean, this was just now. This wasn't like back in the 30s and 40s when they were going over being the garden police. This was now, saying you can't do that because, and if you grow too much this and that and the other, it's just like the wheat. This was a number of years ago, and I read this in Levin's book also, is that the guy said, I only sell my wheat in Ohio, I only do this, and the government came in and said, no, it's a part of the Commerce Clause. You can't do this, and you can't do that, and you can't grow this much wheat, and you can't keep a certain amount of it for seed and everything else. The federal government is overreaching, and people don't know that they can't do it, and so we let it happen.
But what do? The minute I say a certain word on the radio, people all of a sudden are going, oh, did you hear what he said? Oh, my goodness, he's preaching insurrection. Why, he's preaching going against the government. And that word is revolution. Now, ever since the Revolutionary War for this country, the word revolution has been looked down upon and almost asked to be stricken from our language because of current power and current presidencies and current administrations. Rita, what else can we do to save our nation from this total takeover by the government if we don't have somewhat of a revolution either at the ballot box or whatever?
Well, first of all, this thing hasn't been happening just in the last few years. It's been happening since 1913, thank you, Woodrow Wilson. But anyway, it's going to take a while to fix. But if people do not become engaged and informed, they won't know what to do, and we will all be wards of the state.
Mm-hmm.
And it all comes back to finding out what needs to be done. I hate to refer back to it, but Levin's book is called The Liberty Amendments, and people automatically go, no, we can't have a constitutional convention. That's not going to work. You're right, it's not going to work. And that's not what this is about. This is about taking all of the amendments to the Constitution and the states coming up and saying, you know what, this doesn't work because, and we're going to change it and make the changes individually in individual states, and it can be done, but people are going to have to do their homework, find out what the issues are, and get on board and get their representatives on board. See, that's the other problem, is we have representatives who represent us. We do not live in a democracy. We live in a republic.
That's right.
Therefore, we have elected people to make decisions on our behalf. And if they are not making the decisions on our behalf that we want, we need to get rid of them at the ballot box. That's
Amen.
how we do things.
Amen. Caller, I've only got a couple of minutes left. I need you to make a very short question, please. Go ahead. Thank you.
I didn't necessarily have a question, Zeb. I just things are going good for everybody. Farmers are doing great. People on welfare are doing great. People on food stamps are doing great. Medicare, Medicaid. As long as the Treasury holds out, I guess nothing's going to change.
I agree with you, unfortunately. Rita, respond quickly, if you would.
Well, actually, I think he's right, and that's where it all comes back to. Everybody thinks everything's okay, except those of us that are the slaves to making the country work.
That's right.
And it's not going to keep up. We can't keep doing it alone.
Rita, there's so much going on, and again, we'll go back to the original premise of what we were talking about on this segment, is we've got to get people involved. I know as well as I'm sitting here 35 miles away from you that when you talk to somebody and you're going to have an important meeting and you're going to try to lay out exactly what's happening and what's going to be lost if they don't get involved, they'll look at you with kind of a blank stare and they'll go, oh yeah, big deal, yeah, we'll try to make it, and you never see them again.
That's right. I don't. However, we've had a lot more people attending in the last few months, and so kudos to them. But, you know, that city council chamber should be shoulder to shoulder, not even any standing room left. And we have our meetings every second Thursday, which is tonight at 7 o'clock. We're having a visitor who we actually had tried to get for the Liberty Summit. He's that caliber of a person. His name is Dr. Scott Bradley, and he has a constitutional convention, or he has a constitutional law degree. He is going to speak to us tonight about the dangers of having a constitutional convention, and then how we can go forward to make other things happen.
All right, quickly, caller, I got 30 seconds, nothing more. Go ahead.
Yes, you know, if we had a leader who would lead the people, I think we could gather lots of steam and lots of uncertain people and maybe even some apathetic morons. But we have none, and it's hard when the people are just trying to do everything on their own. I'll hang up. Thanks.
Real quick response, Rita, I'm almost out of time.
That's really true, but that doesn't take the individual responsibility away from us, and we need to scrape off a few minutes of time, even if it's just an hour and a half, one night a month. Come to the Tea Party meetings, get involved in the stuff that's going on, find out what needs to be done, and gather together with us so we can make a loud voice.
Rita Ramsey, God bless you, and thank you so much for being on the program. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Okay,
thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Very nice lady right there, Rita Ramsey. Oh, man, I'm hungry, and I'll bet you Gina's hungry, too. Well, when you get to that stage of the morning where you're hungry and starving to death, I've got some answers. Listen to this, Burgers, etc. 700 North Overland in Burley and 124 South Oneida in Rupert. 2 locations. And they've got a September special. Burritos or corn dogs, 99 cents after 3 p.m. Stop by after school for a snack that'll just absolutely just make you feel good. So don't forget that. September special at Burgers, etc. 2 locations, Burley and Rupert. Let's head on over to Taco Bandito, 2301 Overland in Burley. Oh, yeah. Slush Puppies, Bandito Burgers, Chimichangas, and the grilled chicken bacon ranch quesadilla. Oh, that is good. At 2301 Overland in Burley, Taco Bandito. You stop in and see them today. Steve-O's, oh my goodness, 290 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Steve-O's, what a great place to eat. And they've got steaks and chicken and seafood and salads and all kinds of great things for you, vegetarian menu too. And they've got great servers, and I'll tell you what, the patio is cool and comfortable and the food is great. And weather permitting, they're going to have that patio open so you can sit out and enjoy Southern Idaho weather. Absolutely great food, everything at Steve-O's, 290 South, 600 west of Hayburn. And last but not least, in our continuing search to find the very best food for you when you're hungry and starving to death, don't forget the AC Drive-In at 601 East Main in Burley. Oh, they're now serving kids' meals for only $3.50, either a hamburger, cheeseburger, or 4-piece chicken nuggets with fries. Oh, yeah. And I'll tell you what, they got the Farmer Brown burger. Can't get any better. Add a delicious milkshake, and you're set for the entire day. Oh, you're going to love it. People are nice. Food is fantastic at the AC Drive-In, 601 East Main in Burley. And those are just a few great places to go when you're hungry and starving to death and you split the back end of your jeans.
So not funny. So not funny. But the problem did get fixed, and my brother brought me a pair of shorts. So
now, seriously, you were going to try to make reparations with a piece of duct tape?
And it happened, too. We found some electrical tape, and it did the trick for the minute.
There again, I have questions, but I think I'll stay away from that.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
Awesome.
What's that?
I said, you're welcome.
I bet I am. But you don't want to tell everybody how you split.
Well, okay, this is what happened. Every morning I have an armful of things that I have to bring in, and I was getting our little station kitty, because we have a new kitty here by the name of Conway.
Oh, yeah, blame the cat. Always blame the cat.
No, well, here's the deal. I was moving all of his necessary items into the cat's studio, that including the litter box. So I was bending down, and my back has been hurting, so I was bending down properly using my knees and keeping my back straight. When I did that,
I'll bet you your first impulse was, no, I better not say that, because you said that one time you thought the mic was off.
I can't say exactly what I said, but it was to the effect of, oh, shoot. And then we raided Jerry's office to find some electrical tape to cover the rip.
I can just see you walking down the hall with both hands over your posterior saying, Mr. Thaxton, we have an electrical tape emergency.
Yes, we have an electrical tape emergency that needs repaired ASAP.
Yeah. Well, listen, you're doing a great job, split britches and all, okay?
Oh, thank you.
All right, we'll be back in 6. Oh, my. Here we go. Hour number 3 on a Thursday. Zeb at the Ranch. Good morning. I'm Zeb Bell. And our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Leschwamp Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal, and, of course, our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. And now, ladies and gentlemen, right now, here he comes up to the podium, microphone in hand, Mr. Brent Lee.
Hi, Zeb. Good to be with you. What a beautiful day.
Oh, it's turning fall, and you can feel a little tinge in the air.
It is one of my favorite times of the year.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some great news here at Lee's Furniture.
Okay.
It's our September Super Savings Month, and we've got great savings throughout the store. But before we talk about some of those, One of the things we try to do is we try to keep our store fresh and lively and new so that each time you come in, we've got something special that we can show you. And we've got some new additions to our store.
Mm-hmm.
For many years, we carried the Flex Steel line of furniture. Now, that's a line that's upholstered furniture, sofas and love seats and chairs, and occasional tables and so forth. One of the finest name brands in the world today in the furniture industry. And we have them back. And we have a great section of fabrics and frames to choose from. And I know that everyone in our community will recognize the Flexed Steel name. They're just superb in quality. So we want to welcome everyone to come in and see our Flex Steel line of furniture. We're glad to have them back.
Okay, I'm going to make a note on that. You bet. What else have you got cooking down there today?
Also, we want to welcome everyone to come see another new line that we have on the floor, and you're going to like this one, Catnapper. And Catnapper is a wonderful line of motion furniture. Again, sofas and love seats and chairs that have all those comfortable moving parts. We can put our feet up and lay our head back. And we want to welcome Catnapper into our store as well. A beautiful and a unique line of looks and fabrics. A lot of sets have that combination of both leather and fabric. We call that a collage.
You kind of had an advantage over the rest of us folks, because there you have a furniture store, there you have all this comfortable furniture, and rumor has it that at about 1:15 every afternoon you're trying out a new piece of furniture and taking a cat nap.
A cat nap. You're a test rest, a cat nap. That's exactly right. We want to make sure we stay refreshed, just like we would on that new Simmons mattress that you enjoy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Also, Zeb, I just want to mention, we have always had, as you come right in the front door, this big, tall stack of chair-side tables. And those are tables that go maybe beside your recliner or beside another chair in the home where you need a table, but you want to save some space. And we have about 15 of those stacked in a pyramid. Fun just to look at the way they are, and in a variety of beautiful finishes, cherry and oak and ebony black, and some two-tone tables. And they're a handy table that can go anywhere in the home. So come in and see that new stack of chair-side tables as well.
Absolutely. And you know, when you stop into Lee's Furniture, Floors and More and you're not sure which one Brent Lee is, just look for the guy that's got the 9-iron in one hand and a scuba mask in the other. That's him.
That's right. Yeah, we'll look forward to inviting anyone to come in. That'd be quite a sight to see.
I'll guarantee you think you have a split personality three ways: Phil Mickelson, Lloyd Bridges, and Brent Lee.
And especially, you got to catch that window of time though between about 11:30 and 11:45 when I've got all that gear on.
There you go. It's hard to watch you walk across that wooden floor with those great big foot fins on.
Oh, that's great.
Listen, tell everybody to please come down and find the best of carpeting and hardwood flooring and all the furniture at Really My Friends, Lee's Furniture, Floors and More at 459 Oberlin in Burley. Brent, God bless you. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.
Sure will. And just a reminder to all of our friends out there in the community, check us out online at leesfurniturefloorsandmore.com. You can find everything that we have in the store and everything that's available.
There you go. Brent Lee, take care. God bless, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. Nice people over at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More in Burley. Really good folks. Hey, don't forget the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Oh, they've got specials over there. They've got delicious luncheon specials. And that's Monday through Friday for just $5.95. Oh, my goodness. And they got a senior citizen dinner special Monday through Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m., only $5.95. And today, they've got, I love this, baked macaroni and cheese. I love macaroni and cheese with ham and super salad. Oh, my goodness, just $5.95. You're going to love the people, love the food. Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. It is time for school days in Cassia County. Ladies and gentlemen, Listen to the kids in the background. Man, we've got it all. They've already heard the bell. They're running in from recess and everything. School days in Cassia County, and it's brought to you by A Child's World at 1308 Overland Avenue in Burley, and also Ambulatory Surgery Center, 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. We're going to have all about our two great sponsors right after we finish up with the Raft River Elementary School principal, Mr. Jared Dastrup. I hope I said his name right. Good morning, Jared. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. You didn't butcher it. That's a first.
Well,
I appreciate it, Zeb.
It's a first that I didn't butcher something, or it's the first time that I didn't mess up your name?
No, you're on the ball. It's the first time that maybe somebody else saying it for the first time didn't butcher it. So you're on my good side. I appreciate it.
You got it, my friend. Listen, I'm very honored to have you on the program, and I understand that you're going to be talking about September, Childhood Obesity Month, and what you and the students at Raft River are doing. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I'm happy to be on. With it being Childhood Obesity Month, I came here before as a PE teacher, and that was a big focus of mine, a big awareness that we tried to let the community get involved and know what that really was. So what we did this past year through the help of our PTO is we decided to change our fundraiser from selling cookie dough to what's called the Jogathon. Mm-hmm. Basically how it works is all of the students, preschool through 6th grade, we have different times set up for them. Tomorrow is when this is all going to happen, where they come out to the track and they get to run, walk, or jog for 30 minutes. It's a family event. Most kids will run anywhere from 4 to 10 laps. There's music that's going to be playing. We give the kids awards and prizes. So what they've done for the past 2 weeks is they've gone out and they've collected pledges. They've gone to their family, their friends, neighbors, and they've asked them to basically donate to our school because, as we know, our schools don't have a lot of funding right now, and we need all the support we can get from our community. And
Absolutely.
So these kids have worked really hard and gone out, collected pledges, and they can collect flat donations or they can collect them per lap. And so you can go to Mrs. or Mr. So-and-so and tell them, I think I'll probably run 6 or 7 laps, and will you pledge me per lap or just sponsor me to run the Jogathon? And what we've done with that as well is we printed up T-shirts for all of our students through Fuel Up to Play 60.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard of Fuel Up to Play 60? I don't know if our listeners...
Yes, I have. As a matter of fact, I'm very familiar with it because it's on behalf of the National Football League, and I think it's a very, very important and instrumental program for more schools to get involved in.
I completely agree with you. April Burns is our rep out here in the Cassia area, and I know she's gone to a few other schools, but we jumped on board last year, and now since last year and this year, we've received over $4,000 in grant money. And the money that they award you is based on what you're doing as a school with your students to help promote healthy eating and physical exercise. So we've done a few things here, I guess, to meet their requirements. And so they gave us the money last year. We did a good job with it in supporting those things, and they gave us another few thousand here to start this year. And so what we've done is we have revamped our PE program, and we went ahead and we do have a classified person doing it, and we don't have funding out here to have certified full-time PE teachers, but we have one gal named Cheryl Cottle who's doing all of our PE, and she's just fantastic. She's doing a great job. She's teaching the kids the things they need to be learning. She's even implementing our presidential fitness, and we're going to set up a record board as well so kids can compete from year to year for the most push-ups, pull-ups, running a mile, those kind of things. And all of that's just in conjunction with what Fuel Up to Play 60 promotes. The other half of the money has gone to building up our cafeteria. We have ordered some menu boards, some fancier-looking trash cans. One of the fun ones that the kids really like is we have smoothie days. And so once a week, they get to come up for a snack at their early recess at 10 a.m. and grab themselves a smoothie. And we're also going to paint our cafeteria this year. We have one of the high school students across the way that's going to come over and do that for a senior project. So a lot of good things happening with the NFL and the National Dairy Council supporting our school and our efforts to really promote and help with that awareness of Childhood Obesity Month.
Let me ask you this, Jared, and of course I've spoken out many times on this program about obesity and the pros and cons, and I just want to say this. I think it was a huge mistake for all schools across this country to diminish and devalue physical education programs as a mandatory class in their schools. I can remember 4 days a week out of 5 when I was going to high school, it was mandatory that you had physical education. And I think it absolutely contributed to the problem we have today because of a lack of respect for PE training in the high schools. What are your thoughts?
No, I completely agree with you. I know that districts are, and ours, of course, like everybody else, is really tight with funding and money, and so you have to be pretty careful about where you put your funding and where teachers are at. But absolutely, I mean, you need PE teachers, you need certified, qualified PE teachers and health teachers that can help to help. Kids just need to understand at a younger age the importance of physical exercise and activity. And even if you're not an athlete, even if you don't like playing on team sports, there's lifetime sports that you can do. Things like the running and the walking and the jogging, things that maybe your school doesn't promote. But as a PE teacher, I would go through units and lessons with my youngsters. I was an elementary PE teacher, and I would just try to give them a taste of as many different things as they could get so they would enjoy some type of physical activity and exercise and make it fun for them. But absolutely, I think that if districts and schools could go back to that route and making sure every school has a certified PE teacher, I think it would be in our best interest.
Yeah, and I'll go back and say this, Jared, and I'm not trying to denigrate anything in any school system today, but I am going to say this. Out of my graduating high school class, and I was to a big high school, there were only two students that were what you might consider to be obese. One had some physical problems that it couldn't be helped. The other, well, who knows? But I will say this, because of a mandatory PE program of where you didn't just go sit on the bleachers and talk to your boyfriend or your girlfriend, you sat there and just for a second until the coach came in, and then you started a very, very regimented approach to physical activity. It helps also in the classroom. It's a benefit to learning by having a good PE program.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Zeb. I don't want to beat a dead horse there, but I agree with you. I wish that we were able to go that route and that we could pick up where we left off maybe a handful of years ago.
Well, it sounds like Raft River is really doing all they can to get healthier kids, and as I understand it, this money that's garnered is going to help towards buying better PE equipment and also promote healthy eating. Is that correct?
It will. That's what the goal is with the Fuel Up to Play 60 grants, and as we do the Jogathon and these fundraisers, they look at that and say that's a great thing. We'll continue to support what you're going for and continue to award you with grant money, or at least that's what we hope they'll do in the future years. But it's our PTO that's sponsoring and putting on our new fundraiser, and that will go to both physical, our PE equipment and things, but it also go to a lot of the academic things. But we all know there's studies that show those things go hand in hand. The healthier you are and the more exercise you get, the more your brain's in tune and ready to study and to listen in class.
Amen.
So
Amen.
We need to work together on that one.
Raft River Elementary School principal, very, very nice man, very knowledgeable man, Jared Dastrup. Thanks for being on the program this morning, and continued success up there in Raft River.
Hey, thank you so much, Deb.
Thank you, sir. School Days in Cassia County brought to you by A Child's World at 1308 Overland Avenue in Burley. And don't forget, you can shop online for your convenience at A Child's World. Just go to achildsworldinburley.com. All the Cherokee and Dickey scrubs and the shoes and the accessories. And don't forget all the toys and the books and the crafts and the puzzles and more. And they carry all the infant and quality shoes and school uniforms. They've got it all for you and your family at A Child's World, 1308 Overland Avenue in Burley. And also co-sponsored by Ambulatory Surgery Center, 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. For over 14 years, the Ambulatory Surgery Center of Burley has saved families thousands and thousands of dollars as they have received outstanding medical care. First-class medical facility at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. Call 677-8888 for doctors that bring their patients to the Ambulatory Surgery Center and give them outstanding care and save them money. Thank you very much to A Child's World and Ambulatory Surgery Center for bringing you School Days in Cassia County. I'm very honored to have that segment on my program, and I think there's a lot of things, a lot of items, a lot of topics that we can discuss over the next couple of weeks, months, and possibly years regarding education, and I'll look forward to our next segment next week. Okay, now where am I here? Oh, yes, Sportsman's Warehouse. Oh, boy, one of my favorite stores to go to and just go in the door and stop and go, I'm home. I love that place. It's the great indoors for those who love the great outdoors. Friendly experts, quality gear, down-home attitude. They've got it all for you. They've got it all for you. Hunting, fishing, archery, camping, boating, everything is right there for you at Sportsman's Warehouse. And right now, hear me out, they've got a select clearance of clothing and footwear, 50% off till September 15th. Don't walk, run right now into Sportsman's Warehouse, 1940 Bridgeview Boulevard in Twin Falls. Really, really good folks. I've known Reese, the manager there, for a long, long time. Oh, by the way, real quick, too, I want to remind you that we have a brand new location for our September lunch bunch, and it's going to be over at Perkins Restaurant. I am looking forward to it. It's going to be outstanding. We're going to be there on September 26th, Thursday, September 26th at 11:30, 800 North Overland in Burley. Don't miss it. Please call your friends and neighbors, Aunt Martha, Uncle Fred. Everybody be there at Perkins, where they believe in being best buds with your taste buds. They've got all the delicious bakery items, all the pies, fantastic breakfast and lunch and dinner menu. Oh, and the people are great, too. You're going to love it. Perkins Restaurant and Bakery, 800 North Overland in Burley. Our next lunch bunch at Perkins on the 26th. Okay, got to make a little note here, so I'm getting old and forgetful, and I believe we're right on time. Now, this is a first for me. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to the phone lines, and we're going to get a chance to talk to a man that knows all about garbage and what to do with it, how to get rid of it, and that happens to be Kelly Withers with Western Waste Services. Good morning, Kelly. How are you?
Good, Zeb. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad, my friend, and I'm glad to have you on the program this morning. I got quite a few questions for you because as our area grows, like all portions of the United States, it's got to be a little bit tougher all the time to figure out what we're going to do with our garbage. And what about garbage problems? Are we getting into the same position as some of the major metropolitan areas like New York and Chicago and L.A.? Is there a problem on what to do with garbage?
At this point, there isn't a problem. We're lucky enough to be out here where we got more open space, but we're also looking for opportunities all the time to research and research recycling. And we've, for instance, we've started recycling twine. We're doing a lot of cardboard recycling. The metal recycling, we're doing that. So we're making every effort we can to keep stuff out of the landfills. We still got a lot of stuff going to the landfills, but at this point we can't dispose of all of it. But we're doing the best that we possibly can to recycle whatever we possibly can.
Kelly, as an old cowboy, I've got twine coming out of my ears. I got twine piled up in the barn. I got twine piled up in my tack room. I've got twine all over the place. Are you telling me that now there's a source where I can get rid of it and can be recycled?
Yeah, actually what we do, Zeb, is we place a container out at just a regular trash receptacle, but it's just specifically for twine, and then you just call us when it's full, and we're running twine routes clear over into the Burley area and most of our surrounding areas. So anybody that's interested in that can just give the office a call, and we can get the logistics and start keeping that out of the landfill.
Now, before we get into real cold weather and old man winter rears his ugly head again, I've made it a promise to my wife that I'm going to clean out the tack room, I'm going to clean out the garage, and boy, you've got dumpsters in various sizes that I can load them up and you'll come and get them and haul them out of there. Is that right?
That is correct, and that's one thing I wanted to mention today. From now until snow flies, we're going to offer a 50% off the delivery fee for the dumpster. And as you said, we've got several different sizes of dumpsters, and there's no hurry to get them filled up. I mean, we can leave that dumpster at your facility for up to a month, and you can fill it at your convenience. And if you need more than one dump, we can dump it and leave it. And then if you just need one dump, we'll dump it and pick it up, and saves a lot of trips to the landfill. And even if you haul it to the landfill yourself, you still have to pay disposal fees. So that is already figured in on our charge. And as I said, we're offering 50% off the delivery fee, and the customer can call the office and they can explain the cost of the delivery fee and the timing and placement. So now is the perfect time to take advantage of that.
Okay, now, one thing, too, Kelly, I've got to really commend you and your crew. You can almost set your watch by the way they come by on the route service and pick up my garbage, and I'm fascinated by your trucks coming out with those big arms, picking it up, throwing it in the top of the truck. Absolutely, you're always at everybody's disposal. Get on the route service, and what do they do to get on the route service? What do you suggest? Who do they call?
It's as simple as calling our office at 208-734-6969, and the gals can get you set up. It takes about 2-3 minutes to get you set up for service, and I appreciate your comments about our service. We work hard at it, but without you and the rest of our customer base, we would not be here. So a big thanks goes out to everyone.
I want to just tell you how nice this guy is, and I appreciate his business. They do a great job, always at your disposal. Kelly Withers with Western Waste Services, 734-6969. Okay, you can wipe the sweat off your brow. The interview's over. You did a great job, Kelly.
Thanks, Zeb. I appreciate it.
All right. God bless, man. Thanks. Really good folks, Western Waste Services, and I'm proud to have them as a sponsor on my program. They do one great job. Thank you very much. Let me see, what have I got? Oh, my goodness. I got to look over here at this sheet, and I've got to tell you. No, wait. I'm late. I'll take care of this next half hour. We're going to now send this over to our dear and lovely. No, I'm going to take care of it right now. I better. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm stuttering and stammering here because of the fact that my papers all landed on the floor. Ramsey Heating and Electric is offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, a heat pump, you and your family will always enjoy the comfort. Call 678-0459 and learn how Ramsey Heating and Electric can save you money. That's 678-0459. Call Ramsey's today, where they provide warm winters and cool summers, as they have for over 55 years. Right now, we're going to go to the main studios. I'll be back with Senator Dean Cameron talking about Obamacare in just a few minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KVAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much. Welcome back. And we're in the final half hour, and a very interesting half hour, because as we draw closer to October 1st, and then, of course, full implementation of Obamacare in 2014. I'm worried as a small businessman. I'm sure many people are worried as to what the effects are going to be with Obamacare and the implementation. I have with me a very, very trusted and dear friend, Idaho Senator Dean Cameron. Good morning, Dean. How are you?
He's not at the office, so I've got to call his cell real quick.
Oh, okay, thank you. I'll wait just a moment. I hope he's going to be available. So there you go. We're waiting for Senator Cameron to pick up the phone. I love live radio. And we will have him hopefully on the air in just a moment, so stand by. Next week on the program, I wanted to tell you that we're going to have some really heavy hitters. We're going to be talking to Jeremy Ribkin, and he's going to be talking about this mess in Syria from New York City. Dave Bego, of course, a very good friend of ours from Indiana, is going to be on talking about the unions and what they're doing right now, trying to stimulate more power across the United States. So those are just a couple of the people that we'll have on the air this next Monday. Again, ladies and gentlemen, one of my favorite people and a good friend, and he's done a great service as being senator for the state of Idaho. Good morning, Senator Dean Cameron.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
I am good, but I say that with reservation because we're drawing closer and closer to October 1st, and there are numerous ways that I have read about and studied that Obamacare is not going to work. It's going to cost us more than we ever thought it was. Bring us up to speed as to what your thoughts are.
Well, certainly I agree with you. And it is going to be a disaster. It already is a disaster in many ways. But I do want to go through some things for your listeners that they need to be preparing for. And obviously we don't have enough time to go through it all, but we'll at least start this conversation, and you'll want to have this conversation a little bit further down the road.
Okay.
Obviously there's huge problems with it, and the administration, of course, would love to fix some of those problems, but many of us aren't willing to bend over and acquiesce to their way of thinking. First of all, it is important for every listener, particularly those that are buying individual plans and small employer plans, it is important for them to sit down with their local agents and evaluate whether their plan is grandfathered or not. If their plan is grandfathered, they will be able to avoid some of the issues that are coming down the road. If their plan is not grandfathered, then they need to start preparing for what next year will look like. Now, because of some rules that we were able to get through the state and get the Department of Insurance to act upon, most of this will not hit until the renewal date of next year, or of 2014. However, if you're a January 1st renewal, I'm assuming people know what I'm talking about when I say renewal. If your anniversary to your policy comes up January 1st and you get your notice typically in October, November, or December that your plan is renewing, then you're in the spotlight first. But if your renewal is next July, you will not be forced to do anything until next July. And if you are grandfathered, you may not be forced to do anything at all, at least for a period of time.
Let me interrupt you. Let me ask you a question right there, Dean, if I can, and I mean to insert things, but you're so eloquent on this and you have all the knowledge, but I want to ask you this. I have had numerous calls in the last 2 weeks, many from small businesses that are scared to death that they're going to be all of a sudden fined up to $100 a day if they don't adhere to certain standards with Obamacare. A lot of people have so many questions and no answers. How would you respond to their concerns?
Well, I think they should be concerned, and we're concerned. And there's a fair amount of panic out there, but justifiably so. I mean, this thing is a disaster, and part of why I suggested up front is they need to sit down with their insurance company, with their local agent, maybe their accountant. I know that a lot of the accountants in the area sent out notices to their clients telling them that they needed to make sure that they were in compliance. There's two ways that a business can be penalized. First of all, for not offering adequate benefits, and secondly, for not offering benefits to eligible employees. And they really need to, if they're offering benefits, they really need to sit down and evaluate. On both of those, if they are on a grandfathered plan, they may be able to avoid both penalties. So that's why I say it's really important that they evaluate, sit down with their, and there are some companies that didn't even offer a grandfather plan, and there are others that are. And so they really need to sit down and evaluate, first of all, whether they offered a grandfather plan or not, and whether they're going to have to do anything to comply. And then secondly, if they do have to comply, what potential changes do they want to make in order to comply?
in some cases, it's wiser for the employer to offer benefits, and then in other cases, it may be wiser for them not to offer benefits. And the only way to decide that is on an individual case-by-case basis. And I guess I would also say to your listeners, be wary of some of these folks that are going around holding seminars, and I'm surprised there are people trying to make money on this thing. And so in some cases they're going and ginning up a lot of fear and contention, and there's plenty to hate. But I would encourage people not to overreact. We have good agents in the Magic Valley that are many of them have been going to training after training after training, and I would go and sit down with the agent of your choice.
Mm-hmm. Everything you said is absolutely very important, but as you look at this thing now, and you saw it coming down the rails for a couple of years, and you told me on previous programs, Zeb, we really don't know the magnitude of the problems that this is going to cause. One of the people that I have a lot of respect for, and that's Steve Forbes, in his newsletter, he said Obamacare is imploding because it's unworkable. It's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. With that being said, Dean, would it be better right now for Congress to defund Obamacare and shove all of these people into a small room and have them rewrite the whole thing before this thing comes into full effect October 1st, or next year, full implementation in 2014? Is there an answer to this problem?
Well, I don't know that there is a direct answer. I wish there was. First of all, most of it takes place January 1st. The exchanges are supposed to be up and running October 1st, but that's really, although it's costly, that's really not the major issue with Obamacare. Obamacare is a disaster, and in my opinion, is causing tremendous effects in the economy and tremendous effects in unseen ways. I agree with Steve Forbes. Now, the question I get asked all the time is, well, we're just not going to do anything, and we're not going to get Congress to fund it, and it'll go away. I wish that was the case. I wish I believed for a moment that Congress wouldn't spend money for which they hadn't appropriated. But I see them do it every day. I see them spend money in agencies that they didn't have appropriation authority to begin with. And so, don't fund it, but I don't think we can rely as citizens on that being the answer. I think we have to be prepared to protect ourselves, and that's what I'm suggesting that citizens do.
Dean, Obama had said on television not too many months ago, oh, don't worry. If you have your private health plan, you'll be able to keep it. You'll be able to keep your doctor. You'll be able to keep everything just the way you want it. Well, that's not true. And I've had some noted experts on this program, including from Atlanta, Georgia, at the Atlanta General Hospital, Dr. Elena George, come on the air numerous times and say that was absolutely a fictitious story and basically a lie, because this thing is going to change enormously as to the coverage, your doctor, and what you can have and can't have. Would you agree?
I agree. In the long term, everybody's going to be impacted. I said from the beginning, people need to find out if they're grandfathered. There were plans that were grandfathered, sold by a few companies, not by all companies, that people could keep. But we anticipate in the long run those will be affected as well. But I guess from my perspective, if a person has a grandfather plan, they want to take it. In most cases, they want to take advantage of the grandfather plan and not have to comply. That plan will count as meeting all the requirements, even though it doesn't. I think for the most part, people will want to find that out. In the long run, absolutely, those plans will eventually get pushed aside, but we hope that by then we've elected a new president, or we've elected a Congress with some backbone, and they have an ability to repeal it. I got to say, though, Zeb, and I am a big proponent of repealing it, but repealing it and going back to where we were, unfortunately, is probably not going to be the answer either. So we have got to, as Republicans, as citizens, we have got to come up with an appropriate strategy to controlling healthcare costs, and an appropriate strategy for this to work using private sector principles and following the Constitution. This plan violates so many of the things that we all hold dear, and it's just really upsetting.
Dean, wouldn't you agree also that the exclusions and the good old boy syndrome of saying, well, we'll let you out of it, you don't have to be a part of it, we're not going to go after you, and it seems like, and tell me I'm wrong, please, that the middle class in America is going to bear the brunt of Obamacare, and the others, on the bottom end, they're getting something they couldn't afford. On the top end, they're getting a free ride, and they're getting an exclusion. What are your thoughts?
Well, there's no question that that's an accurate statement. The Obamacare affects the middle class and small business the worst. It does eventually get to large business, and they intend on enforcing it on large businesses as well as small business. Although you've seen the announcement where they backed off the penalties for a year, that doesn't mean they're not going to still enforce many of the provisions. And by the way, if you're an employer, you need to visit with your agent about when you're going to start counting and how you're going to count your employees, because one of the requirements of the Act is that you're going to have to look back the previous year or the previous 6 months, and you get to determine the length of time you look back. But you're gonna have to look back and determine whether or not how many employees you had and whether or not you fit under which category. It's just overwhelming to most businesses, and it's overwhelming to most of us in general. There are so many features, and this thing is, as I've heard you describe it before, it is just a house of cards, or the president has us tied up in a pretzel, because he really does. The way this thing was drafted, you are not going to be able to, in my opinion, just pull one peg or another peg out and have it work. Yeah. You're going to have to repeal the whole thing, but on the same token, we're going to have to be able to come back with an appropriate response, or there'll be significant market problems, there'll be significant other problems within the health arena and in the stock market that will then, I think, if we're not careful, shift the tide clear back the other direction.
I agree.
And we want to avoid that as well.
I agree. We have a caller with a question, and if you can't hear the question, Dean, I'll paraphrase it for you. Go ahead, caller, please, quickly.
Well, it seems as though this thing is going to be so expensive that so many people can't even, they're just barely getting by now, and then they force this on you, and then you somehow show them that you're unable to actually pay the premium, and then you end up on welfare, or they subsidize you. I mean, it's insanity. I'll hang up.
I would like to jump in on that and agree with the caller, Dean, and pardon the expression, but this is applicable now to what's going on. With Obamacare, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. And particularly employers are in that situation. In some cases, it'll be better for their employees if they don't offer coverage, because then the employee can qualify for the subsidy, can go to the exchange and get the subsidy and maybe get a better plan for less money. Right now, we don't know, to answer your caller, we don't know what the cost is going to be. The carriers have submitted their rates for next year to the Department of Insurance. Those have been approved, but they haven't been disclosed to the public. Actually, we just earlier this week got word of one company disclosing it, but the major companies have not. And I'm not sure what the reason they're not disclosing it, I'm not sure. It may be that they're so high that they're afraid to disclose it. It may be other reasons. Initially, there will be some that, everybody's going to be different because it changes the way people are rated, and it changes their age bands. So definitely, if you are younger and healthier, most likely you are going to pay more money. If you are older and have some health conditions, I can't tell you for sure whether you'll end up paying more money. It may actually be that you'll pay the same or pay a little bit less, because they've changed the whole configuration. So it's a little bit difficult to make a blanket statement, although I believe Obamacare, because of the nuances of its provision, will be much more expensive, particularly in the long run.
Absolutely. Dean, we've got a caller with another question. Quickly, caller. I've got 4 minutes left. Go ahead, please.
Yes, we just received notice in the mail yesterday from our Blue Cross provider that our insurance, if we stay on it, is going to go up to $1,000 a month. And we just have we have like 6 in our family that are on the insurance policy, but they're almost going to double it to keep us on our existing insurance. So I'm thinking Obama insurance is going to be offering some kind of a few tax breaks and incentives to where they force people to cancel their existing insurance and go over to Obamacare. And I'll hang up and let you comment.
That's an interesting scenario, and I'm sure that's just one of millions that are having the same question. Dean, answer that, please.
Sure, and it's a difficult one to answer. I don't recognize the gentleman's voice, and certainly if he would like to visit with me on a one-on-one basis, I could ask him some more personal questions and get down to the bottom of it. We've seen both Blue Cross and Blue Shield and Flex Health take raises, anticipating significant changes in Obamacare. We've also seen for some individuals where they haven't taken as much of a raise. And so it depends on the individual situation that person may be facing. He may actually be better off under the exchange, and he'll want to review that with his agent. And hopefully October 1st, the exchange will be up and running. I was hoping we kind of had postponed this interview until we were getting closer to October so I could tell you whether they were going to meet the deadline or not. But everything says they're going to meet the deadline, but it is not up and running, and the last attempt that they made for our computer systems to talk to the federal government's computer systems failed. Now, I got to give credit to Governor Otter. In fact, I'm on my cell phone because I'm over here in Twin. The governor's going to be giving a speech on economic development, and I got to give him credit because he negotiated with the federal government a much lower deal for Idaho citizens. The federal government wanted to charge us 3.5% to connect and use their computer systems until we got ours up and running. We got a late start on ours because the legislature could not decide what they wanted to do with the exchanges, and then when we finally did, it put us behind the 8 ball. The governor negotiated with CMS to where we are paying nothing to use the federal system. It's been ironic that there have been a number of states now who have contacted CMS or contacted Governor Otter and said, we want Idaho's deal because we're paying 3.5% per 3.5% of premium to connect to the federal government system. So I got to give credit to Governor Otter. He's done what he said he would do in many ways, and he is fighting, and we're all fighting to try and protect Idaho citizens from the terrible features of Obamacare.
All right, now I want to jump in here, Dean, and say, and I really want to hold your feet to the fire on this, and I know you're probably going to agree. I'm glad that we had this preliminary conversation, but I think we need definitely to schedule you and anyone else that you would prefer to have on the program with you as close to October 1st as possible. Would you concur with that so we can answer on a full hour on this program what's going to happen?
Oh, absolutely. I'm happy to do it.
And I'm happy. I'm not trying to drum up business for myself because I'm busier than I know what to do. But I'm happy to come back on and do it. I would encourage people to work with their local agent, to work with someone they trust to answer these questions. If they don't have one, they can call. I can give them ideas as to who would be good agents, or I can try and help them. I'm happy to come back on your program, Zeb. And actually, between now and January 1st is going to be critical.
All right, now we've got
October 1st, we'll know whether the exchange is up and running, but the main compliance of the act starts to occur January 1st.
Okay, we've got one more call. Caller, real short. I've only got 2 minutes left, and I got a commercial break. Go, please.
Why didn't the legislature go with notification under the 10th Amendment to the Constitution? I'll hang up and see if he can give us an answer.
All right, Dean, go ahead.
I can give you an answer. Well, I can't give it to you in this time frame. First of all, the majority of the legislature did not believe and does not believe the nullification would have worked and that we would have ended up with acquiescence to the federal government. That's as short as I can say it. I can provide the legal documentation, the lawyer scholars who have given us that information, and that's the reason the legislature went the direction we did.
All right, I want to re-edify and also say again what Dean said. Folks, please, it's time to understand and appreciate, take your own responsibility to find out what you have, what you don't have. Contact your local agents and start the ball rolling now. Now, don't wait. Get a hold of your representatives and find out what your coverage is. Dean, would you concur? I've got to wrap it up.
Yep, absolutely, Zeb. Appreciate you. Appreciate your show, and encourage your listeners to take control of their own destiny.
All right, Senator Dean Cameron, thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I'll be in touch. Thank you again. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't emphasize enough that you've got to take your own responsibility and your own actions on this, and you have to find out what your coverage is, what it isn't, what's going to happen. Talk to your local agents as soon as you can. Obamacare, in Steve Forbes' words, with Forbes magazine, Obamacare is imploding because it's unworkable. It's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. We have a weather update brought to you this hour by our friends with Lennox Home Comfort Systems, gas furnaces, air conditioners, and heat pumps at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Here's Michael Rogers with a weather update.
We got a slight chance of thunderstorms in the forecast starting today, going into the weekend, and it should be shutting itself off by Saturday. But otherwise, temperatures are going to be on the cool side. It's not going to be on the hot side. It's going to be right around in the mid to upper 80s. Other than that, enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. And also, I want to say thank you to our major sponsor. We just couldn't be here without them, and that's, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. Keyword, serving. And right now, a big, big tire sale. Yes, sirree, Bobby. You better get in there and check out all the tires for all your vehicles. Got a light truck and SUV? Check out the Wildcat AT2. On sale right now, starting at $117.15. How about your passenger car tires, like maybe the Strategy tire? On sale starting at just $89.48 with a 60,000-mile warranty. On sale, the custom wheels, and also they've got the best in brake service, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, and batteries. You stop in and see Dave on Blue Lakes in Twin Falls, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Lane and Rupert, John on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I'm just going to say a 4-letter word. Whew. I'm tired. It's been a long week. Gina, absolutely excellent job over at the studio. Thank you for all your help. Gina's gone. She's on the phone, probably. Next week, another busy week, full week, and we've got a lot of interesting people from all over the United States coming on the program. And I am trying to get Elena George, Dr. Elena George from the Atlanta Hospital on next Wednesday and further discuss the dilemma, the absolute dilemma of Obamacare. So we'll look forward to that. Gina, you there?
I am here.
You scared me.
I was talking to the big boss man on the phone real quick.
Well, you tell him during my program to leave you alone.
Well, he just had a pertinent question.
Oh, okay. Well, Miss Duct Tape USA, have a good weekend.
You too.
And God bless, and we'll talk to everybody on Monday at 8:06. Zeb at the Ranch. The way things were are the way things ought to be. See you Monday.
You got it.